Incredible. Incredible. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, guys, wherever you are. I hope you're having a really good weekend. Apologies, I forgot to bring the mic over if it was quiet at the start. Right, okay, so thank you very much to Anonymous Biker who got first. Superhands is here as well, so is Rue. Gemma's here, so is Framed. Superhands says, time for a cheeky Sunday brandy. That sounds good, man. I've got coffee and some squash, and that's about it. I have to drive home, so I can never have a drink and stream at the same time, sadly. Unexpected stream, says Mantis. We stream every Sunday. The unexpected one was the one that we did on Thursday this week, but we'll be having some more Thursday streams going forwards, and I'm hoping to do 3 streams a week at some point, just to try and do all sorts of stuff and share with you guys what we do. Sticky's here as well. Chat Music too. Good evening, guys. Secret Keyboard, says Anonymous Biker. Not particular secret, but that's alright. Kevin Babes and Tob are here. RL Keebs as well. Clownfish, Densus, Mango Rocky, Fluffy Keebs. Good evening, folks. Ungodly's here as well. So is Kaz and the Unborn. Basil Biscuit's here as well. Jenga Keep Science says good evening, everyone. Bulbs is here too. Yeah, it looks like everyone's here. Everyone asking for coffees. So if you were all here, I would make you all coffees, but you're not, so I can't. Although saying that, Crispies has just posted, he did get a coffee out of me this morning, so yeah. Bacon, thank you so much, Demotex, for the subscription. I thoroughly appreciate that. Very kind of you. No hat. I don't always wear a hat, usually just because I'm lazy on a Sunday and lazy when I come to the workshop. So, yeah, looking fresh. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I did go to the barbers on Thursday, so always gonna love more streams. Yeah, we do so much, and I really enjoy streaming, but I don't get a chance to share a lot of what we do. But like, kind of like this channel's seen like a bit of a surge in viewers and watchers after the stream. So like live viewership, and then people watching the stream afterwards on Twitch. Not particularly YouTube, because we don't really promote the YouTube. That's just for archive more than anything. But yeah, we've seen like a bit of a jump in numbers recently. So I kind of want to push it a little bit and see where we can take this. So you'll see now we have the sub goal above here. I figured we'd set it at 150, see if we can get there, like, you know, by the end of May or something like that. It's always nice. And just see how that pans out, and just try to do a little bit more streaming and share with you guys some of the stuff we do here that people just don't realize is there, or that we don't see. And that's one of the things I'm going to share with you today, to literally give you some real numbers, real cash money, pounds, dollars, cents of what a group buy looks like from a financial perspective, and the pros and cons of that, and why I think they're still useful for the hobby, and how they really affect things. So yeah, like a peek behind the scenes. As well as that, I've got some cool things to unbox and show you guys.
Incredible.
Thank you very much for the follow, Vaj. I appreciate that. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, aim is to try and do a little bit more. The more you guys sub, the more it gives me the impetus to do more streaming. That means I can share more of the behind the scenes stuff with you. Let's see how it goes. I hope you're able to get some organising done. Yeah, you can see that behind me is looking a little bit more organised these days, with the Nixie clock and the flip clock and some of the J-series prototypes and some of my watch stuff like here and here. That is the Shift Happens book set as well, Smartisans and things. And the drawers are starting to get stuff in as well, so slowly but surely starting to get stuff in there as well. What about matcha? What about matcha? I'm not keen on like a matcha in a coffee or a tea, really, personally. So yeah. Neodoid says hello. Tiny Mo says, but the important first question is, what espresso machine are you rocking? Someone's got some microfoam action. Yeah, so this is oh, okay, I've got something up that I was going to show you later on. This is actually oat milk today. MoMA, the company who makes oat milk, or one of the companies who make oat milk, were kind enough to send us like 6 6-litre bottles of oat milk to try. I'm not usually an oat milk drinker, but we'll try. We'll try it. In terms of espresso machines, here at the workshop, we have a Londinium R1 espresso machine. So it's like a lever pull espresso machine with a dual boiler capacity. And we have a grinder from the company that does the DF64, but it's not the DF64, it's the Z something or other. But it's like a grind by weight feature as well. So we use that. And then we have like a whole process flow here that I follow as well. But the coffee itself is actually my second company's product. So I own a little roastery company who is about to launch. Well, the whole company is about to launch towards the end of this month. The website will go live. We'll announce it on Discord, and we'll do some like free coffee and stuff like that. But yeah, we make our own coffee now, which is great, and it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. Subathon. I think we will do a subathon at some point soon. Yeah, I think like if I can prove that like we can get to 150 subs, up from about an average. It's usually averages about 100 subs that we have at the minute on the channel at any given time. And as I say, we've seen a bit of resurgence in that in the past couple of months. And I think if we can get to like 150, it'll kind of push me and give me the impetus to do more, and especially a subathon. We could do something like that and try and like build that up as well, like build the channel up a little bit. So yeah. Did I move the stream setup? No, this is in the same place it was before. It's just further forward, so we're further away from that wall, because these are A0 drawers. Like these, this might not look particularly deep, but these drawers are really, really, really deep. Like really deep. So yeah, and that's because I'm going to put like 10 to 15 keyboards in each drawer. Some of the drawers below that have got loads of keyboards in already, like the second one down has got like, I don't know if you can see that, but there's like keyboards all in there. Keyboards all in there. Yeah. It's a whole thing. Like, we need storage space. So the stream setups hasn't moved, but it's kind of, well, it has moved forward, but it's in the same space. So you're still looking at the same place you were looking at before behind me, historically. Free Juice, thank you so much for the 90 months of Prime subs. I appreciate that, my dude. Thank you so much. Oatly Oat Milk is the king for coffee. This Momo stuff is pretty good. It's pretty nice. A Londinium lever base someone's put into the hobby. Yeah, like I have an espresso machine at home as well. So yeah, and I want I really want an ACS Vostok. That's kind of like the next opportunity for me, I think. So yeah. Hi Jay, hope you've had a great day. Yeah, today's been pretty good. I started off here at the workshop at like 9 o'clock this morning with Chris Spezic, who's in chat somewhere. We took some pictures of coffee and we talked keyboards for a little bit and did a bit of putting the world to rights and stuff like that, and did some stuff for the meetup that's happening for MK UK. So that's on June the 22nd, and we were just sorting out some ticket stuff for that, which was quite good. Honest Accountant says, hi Jay, just joined. What keycaps are we looking at today? Are those the double shot ones made in a guy's garage for Alps? We'll talk about those in a minute. I'll get onto those because that's quite a big thing. Yeah. Stevie P says, I know you have that cup, which is the shape of your friend's hands. Will you collab with them? Missing on the nice coffee cups. I could do, Stevie P. Like, I have two that were made by them. Both were hand painted afterwards as well. I don't really use them very often, actually. We tend to use the Le Creuset ones more than anything, because they're just, like, in the cold workshop, these just have more porcelain to them, so they hold the heat in a little bit better. But yeah, definitely want to do that. Definitely want to have a look at some opportunities. There's Mole Ceramics who streams as well on Twitch. She's done some stuff for us in the past. I'd like to do some mugs with her at some point as well. So maybe we'll talk about some stuff like that going on. Is there a correlation between subs and sales? I don't think so. I haven't really looked at the number to see. We do see like a spike on, like, we get sales constantly, pretty much constantly throughout the week. Like, there's never, the average on most days it peaks about 6 p.m. UK time, and I think that's for two reasons. One, it's lunchtime in the US, and two, it's when everyone gets home in the UK and EU. So we do see a peak about 6 to 8 p.m. usually during the weekdays, but most of the time it's flat. The only time we ever see a spike is on Sunday when we do the offers. So for example, this week we've got a discount on where if you use the code Keymax Endgame with a question mark as the code, you can get 30% off GMK Moomin, GMK Parcel, or GMK Panda, and that's all of the kits. So if you just want the space bars or the Nordic kit or whatever else, you can absolutely get 30% off those whilst the stream is live. So 30% off like a licensed set like Moomin, pretty good deal. So we do see spike on Sundays, but that's only because of the extra discounts I give to you guys whilst you're watching and whilst we're live. So I don't know. I'll have to have a look at the data. I don't think there is anything that we could track as correlation or causation on that. But it'd be interesting to have a look. If you ever want to look over the data, I'm more than happy to share it with you, like some high-level data. Keyboard filing cabinet, brilliant. Yeah, I can't take credit for this idea. I actually stole this idea off of Ryan Norbauer. He has the same cabinet as this, some Bisley soft close ones. I haven't put the soft close mechanisms on these drawers yet. They just clip on the sides. I need to do that, and I need to cut some cork for inside the drawers as drawer liners as well. But he posted about 2 years ago on his Instagram that he had these Bisley cabinets, and they are just perfect for laying out parts of keyboards because they're so deep, and we can have like prototypes laid out in their constituent parts, so like top, middle, base, plates, PCBs, and we can kind of have it all laid out inside a drawer so things aren't getting dusty, things aren't getting tired. And I do a lot of work at this desk as well, so it's kind of ideal for that. As your coffee guru, have you tried a yerba mate? Seen a few people recommend it for coffee drinkers. I haven't. I do like mate though. I've drunken quite a bit of that, especially in Germany. So yeah. Picked up my tickets for the MK UK a few days ago. Was finally able to convince family. Nice. Yeah, we're sending out the actual tickets around the 12th of May, I think, so a couple of weeks' time. We were just setting some stuff up this morning in the background to be able to enable that, which is quite cool. Yeah, Lucky Fresh, thank you so much, I appreciate that. PT mugs, clap to you. So we do have some prototype piece mugs. We had some made by Vistaprint of all places about 4 years ago, and I've never used one. and I gave a load of them away. I think Brian from Toklak has one, Mr. Petrov might have one, James at AKB might have one, a few other people have them as well, but they're very terrible and not great, and they were just kind of like one of the first promotional items we did. But I would like to do something pretty cool on the coffee company side, but as I say, the coffee company will launch towards the end of this month, early next month, so like a week or so a bit away for that. So yeah, isn't Moomin sold out? It should be in stock right now. Moomin should be in stock right now on the website. Let me take a look. As far as I know, we've got stock of it. Yeah, in stock. GMK Moomin. Base kit, micro kit, accent kit, and Nordic kit are all in stock right now. So there you go. You can go buy Moomin and get 30% off of it as well today only. So there you go. It is that. I just realised, I think I guessed right. The code said Keymax, and Keymax makes those double shot caps. I'm either genius or delusional. You are halfway to being genius. There is a caveat to what you said previously, and we'll cover that when we get to them. Will the coffee company include a subscription-based thing? Yeah, so we actually already make the coffee quite consistently, and it's in a number of local cafes as their house coffee, which is really cool. So there's local coffee shops too here that actually use our coffee already over the counter. Like if someone goes in and orders a standard espresso-based drink, they'll get our coffee. So 100%, like it's going to offer subscription-based models. The prices are cheap I think they're relatively cheap for like a kilogram. It's a little bit more on the spendy side for like 250 grams, just because of the costs involved for us to do it. But the more we sell, the cheaper we can eventually do the product. So yeah, the prices are a little bit higher to start off with, and they'll drop down. And I'll probably drop an update on Notion when that not on Notion, on Discord when that goes live. I think it's going to be around about a week from now, so probably next weekend when the coffee company goes live. It might be Friday if I get all my ducks in a row. If not, it'll be straight after that. So we'll see. Anarchy, hey man, good to see you, dude. I'm really glad you're here. With MK UK being my first ever time attending an event like this, anything I should do to prep or be aware of? Bobboy, not at all really. It's just a day to have fun, day to meet people, day to see some cool keyboards, see some vendors, that kind of thing. So you can just rock up, you can bring some keyboards for display if you want to, up to 3. You don't have to bring any if you don't want to. You can arrange to meet your friends there, you can have a chat, you can get a drink if you're 18, alcoholic based. You can have soft drinks or coffees or whatever else if you're under 18. There's a small restaurant nearby, 10 minutes walk away you're in Leeds city centre, so there's a ton of options. You can come in and out of the venue as and when you'd like. You'll get a lanyard when you come in and you sign in for the first time. You can go and try other people's keyboards. You can just have a really nice time. It's just a really chill day. There'll be a couple of talks on outside we're hoping to have like a tent outside, weather permitting and everything else, and there'll be some talks out there. So I think Rue, who is in chat, he's going to be doing a talk on the the economics of the keyboard hobby, and there's all sorts of stuff happening. So it'll be just a really nice chilled out day. No need for you to be like kind of like super stressed or worried. It's just going to be a really chilled out day. Would you be able to share a link for where you got those drawers? Probably more than I can spend, but I'd love some plan drawers like that. They are the A0 plan drawers from Bisley. So Bisley. Just search for Bisley and then look for the A0 plan chest drawers. That's what you're looking for. So yeah, I read PTB will be a vendor for Project Rubber Hose. Can you share some more information about how it's going to work? Yeah, so there'll be a key set. There'll be some keyboards, TGR keyboards. There'll be some Singer keyboards, and if you buy the key set, you'll have an opportunity to buy one of the keyboards. We're currently working out the details on how that's going to work in the background. There's been some discussion on it over the weekend that I haven't tracked. But yeah, that's pretty much it. There's going to be a few different kits. There is UK ISO available in one of the kits, I think. But it's a massive base kit. It's a huge base kit. It's got a load of stuff in there, novelties and different colored keycaps and stuff like that. It's like DCS. What was the DCS rubber hose set called? I can't remember. It's like that, but on steroids. It's like a really big set, and it's a really big project as well. There's all sorts of stuff going on. GMK hugely invested in it. Yeah, it's a really cool thing. But we'll announce more news soon when I can share it, Rue. Any places in Leeds serving the coffee? Would love to try it when I'm in the city next? Not in Leeds, no. Apart from the place where the meetup's going to be, that I can't tell you. They have our coffee, but yeah. So yeah, will there be a holding pen for Forties users? Forties users, there's like a waste disposal area outside where they put the skips and bins and stuff like that. We were thinking of putting the Forties users around there, something like that. Yeah. I'm joking, of course. Really looking forward to MKUK meetup. May have to bring along my Saka to get massively outclassed. Dude, it doesn't matter what you bring. People love boards of all sorts of types of things. So yeah. My family is skeptical about bringing any boards down. Know any good arguments for convincing them to bring a board down? They are very skeptical about people breaking or damaging stuff, which I've told them is very unlikely. So as part of the meetup, when you go in, you'll get a card that you can write what your keyboard is on it. There's like a traffic light system. I can't remember exactly how we've implemented it. I'll have to double check. But it's like red is like don't touch, amber is like touch but don't pick it up, and green is like you can do whatever you want with this. So you can just stop people touching your keyboards if you want to, or you can just ask people not to, or whatever. So yeah. Yeah. Deadbeats, that's the one. Yes, DCS Deadbeats. It's kind of like that, but on steroids. It's the rubber hose set. It's really cool. Definitely already sold on that one, dude. So am I. I'm gonna get like 2 sets of it because I really want it. Yeah, there's gonna be a GMK version. Not Bears, typo. Yeah. Excited for the meet. We'll see you all there. Gempot. Yeah, I think Gempot, last time I saw you would have been... Oh, wait. Am I thinking of Dead, actually? It might not be yourself I'm thinking of. It might be someone else. Would have been London, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember. True Blaze, thank you so much for being here, dude. I appreciate that. Right, okay. Let's jump into some PT news. So... This week was a challenging week, to say the least. We had some real issues with the Zoom 98s. Unfortunately, Mellatrix, when they shipped us the Zoom 98s, they shipped for the wired ones. The wired one's supposed to have a 2-key module, not a screen. All of the boards had a screen in them, which doesn't work, and doesn't work with that PCB, the wired PCB, so we're going to have to change all of those. So we're waiting for some replacements of that. They have been shipped now. They should arrive next week or the week after. It's about 10 to 14 days shipping time from China. So we'll see how that goes, but we should have them relatively soon. Which means we've now been picking up on the Zoom 75s. Unfortunately, the Zoom 75s, we don't have any boxes for because we weren't planning on doing the Zoom 75s until next week. So we've ordered boxes. They should be here on Monday or Tuesday. Which means that now on Monday we'll be on Zoom 65 V2 and the Soul Land ones and all of that kind of stuff. Once all of the Zooms are done, which should be in the next 10 days or so, we'll also be trying to get through Cat Space Dust. That is probably the largest key set group buy we've done in a long time. So we'll be doing that very soon as well. I'm pretty excited to get Cats. Oh, my camera's doing the whole thing again. It caught my head. I'm pretty excited to get Cat Space Dust out because there's a ton of extras for it, and people have been asking for a while. And it's just we need the space in the workshop to be able to lay that out, to be able to do it properly. That's the problem. So, yeah. Yeah. So you was there at the London one? Yeah, probably London. Yeah. Dead and Jump were attached for London. Yeah. I was trying to think whether it was there or whether it was in not Brighton, Bristol. If it was Bristol. Do I think the Zoom 75s will be in stock next week? It'll either be next week or the week after. It depends on how quickly we get through them, unfortunately. So, yeah. If I bring boards to the meetup, do I also have to keep an eye on them, or is there like security or something? There's no security as such. The venue has security themselves to protect people. So, like, if you get drunk at the bar, they will escort you off the premises. So don't get drunk, but enjoy yourselves. But we've never had anything stolen at the meetup. But then again, if you don't feel safe, like there's no, we can't offer like a protective service for everybody's keyboards. So anything you do bring is at your own risk. So you do need to bear that in mind. But we have never had anything go missing before. So most people are pretty open and honest, and they've got their stuff there as well, so they're aware of the risks. So yeah, it's fine. The community is crying out for info on your mode collab. Mode, we have the mode stuff available in pre-order right now. It's on the website. If you go to prototypist.net, the mode stuff is in pre-order. Click on pre-orders, scroll down a little bit, and you'll see that the mode 65 accessories and keyboards and add-ons are all available in the pre-order section. So yeah, you can just search mode and then the word 65, all one word, but spelt out as letters rather than numbers. Yeah, I'll put a link to the keyboard kit, but it's literally live on the website right now. There you go. There you go. But you can buy the mod stuff already. I didn't come to Bristol Meet, but I think that's where I was getting confused, Jampot. I knew that you'd both been at one, and one of you was at one of the other meetups. That might be where I'm getting confused. Say, hey man, good to see you. I'll hire a bodyguard for customs. Dentists, just stare at everyone and they'll leave it alone. It's fine. Jay's getting escorted out. Me? I would be very surprised if they could serve me enough alcohol in that time for me to get drunk enough to have to be escorted off. Let's put it that way. How many tickets went on sale for the MK UK meetup? I think about 200 initially, but we've got a few more in reserve, and of course there's vendors attending, and some people bought multiple tickets, and we have so we have all of the people who are arranging it as well. I forgot the word. The committee who's putting all the meetup together as well. So all of the people and the staff behind it as well. So I think in reality, there's probably going to be just north of 250 people there, which is pretty good. For a small fee, I will be a keyboard guard. How about a gin and tonic? We could do something like that, I'm sure. Yeah, so that's pretty much PT news. As I say, we'll work our way through the Zoom products this week. In between that, we'll get Cat Space Dust out. Bear in mind that this weekend coming up, so next weekend, Friday and Monday are both bank holidays because it's May bank holiday here in the UK. So PT will be shut on Friday, will be shut on Monday, so our shipping days will be Wednesday, and then the following Tuesday, because we're shut on Thursdays as well. So Thursdays we shut every week, and then this week coming we'll be shut on Friday, and the following week on Monday. So both weeks will just be 3-day weeks for us, which could be quite difficult. So just bear that in mind. But as soon as we can get through everything, we will. Vrug, hey, Jay and all, hope you're having a wonderful time. Yeah, thanks, man. Hope there'll be another meetup closer to me. Leeds is just so far. Leeds is literally in the centre of the country. Like, it is like, this is Mechanical Keyboard's United Kingdom, from the top of Scotland down to the bottom of Penzance and everywhere in between. If you look pretty much in the middle of that, you're pretty much looking at Leeds. So it's kind of like as good for everyone as we can do. We do quite often do the meetups in London as well, so watch out for. I can't say the next one will be in London, but there's a good chance it will be. But it really depends on where people are. So we can't always do them in, like, I don't know, like, you know, Aberdeen, because no one's going to travel all the way up to Aberdeen. So we have to try and make them as best and as comfortable as we can. If we run a current through the boards, no one will steal them. I'm not sure that's legal. It's not like it's land that you're trying to fence in like a farmer to keep livestock in. You're actively seeking to harm people almost at that point. MTP, thanks for being here. Transition Light, are there any plans to stock? $50 TKL is insane. I've seen the board. I haven't approached the company and they haven't approached us, but if they do, we'll see what we can do. I'd want to see one before we stocked them, because I'm not convinced that $50 TKL would be actually good to use, and I'd like to be proven wrong on that before I sold them. I don't like selling anything that I'm not comfortable selling. I think Leeds alternating with London sounds good. Yeah, I think there's other opportunities in the north as well. York, Manchester, I'd say Birmingham's Midlands, but Birmingham as well. The good news is that what we've realised off the back of this meetup is that next time we do a meetup, it needs to be bigger. Not just from an attendee perspective. We think we've probably got that about 250 attendees, but from a manufacturer, vendor, designer kind of position, we could almost do it like an exposition. Think the gadget show, but tinier. So we need to try and figure that out later on. We'll see how it is. We'll see how it is. But there are opportunities there that we could leverage for MK UK for the benefit of the whole community. And if we can do that for future meetups, then that's good. And the investigations and the chats that we've done on this meetup have led us to realise that there is that opportunity there, and we've just never capitalized on that. Not from a making money perspective, but from a supporting the community perspective. That's in terms of the capitalization. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Of course, there's mini meets happening all over the time, all over the place as well. There's one in Southampton, I think, this weekend or something like that. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Difficulty for me coming from Northern Ireland. Have a little to go until Leeds side me up. Try to only travel to Great Britain for doing multiple things. You can fly from Northern Ireland to Leeds. I think it's 25 quid the last time I did it. That was all it was. 25 quid. So yeah, come to Oxford. Maybe. Just do 2 a year. The issue with 2 a year is the funding of the meetup. So a lot of the funding for the meetup, like the venues are expensive, and the cost of hiring tables and audio-visual equipment and ticket software and running the website in the background, and all of that has cost. There is cost to all of that. That's just part of, running a project of that size. And we'd run the risk of not having enough attendees if we did 2 a year, or that vendors would only pick and choose which one to come to. So it's almost impossible for us to guarantee that 2 would be feasible in the same year. If that happens at any point, then we'll be able to do it, but we'll see. And it's also a lot of work as well. Like, you would not believe the amount of hours of work that have gone into creating Meetup. So it's a lot of work. If we go to Birmingham, we might catch the accent. All right now. I can't do a Birmingham accent. From Birmingham. No, I can't do a Birmingham accent. One in Exeter next weekend. Oh, is it Exeter? Sorry, I thought it was Southampton. I don't know why. Daycare did a meetup. Cool. Well done, Daycare. If they did it at your restaurant, I suspect they didn't need to hire a venue and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different. But yeah, mini meets are quite cool because it gives people a chance to meet people that are friends and stuff like that as well. So yeah, Ryanair and EasyJet both do Belfast Leeds. Yeah, I used to do it when I used to work at Lloyd's, and I can't remember who we used to fly with, but it was like 25 quid each way. Most of the environmental cost, you can offset that. That's fine, you can offset it. There's all sorts of options there. Can I do Scouse? No, I can't do a Scouse accent. I can't really do any accents. Close enough. It was terrible. Having run a 150-person day-long event last year, running events is tough. Yeah, it is really it's really hard to do these events. And just because obviously we can't pay people to do it, so everyone's doing it in their spare time, which means that everyone has, like, a little bit of time here and a little bit of time there, and we try and arrange a meeting once a week to talk things through and give actions and updates and stuff, and it can be really challenging and difficult because everyone is just donating time to it, and there's no kind of like set schedule because there's no financial impetus to get people to come along. It's just because they want it to happen more than anything. So yeah. You sound too happy for a Brummie accent. Right, okay, fair enough. Rue says, you, Oblo, and others have stepped in when issues have arisen with some keycap projects. Have producers of keycaps also contributed to save the project and or to help those that bought the sets? So there's been... This is quite an interesting question. I will say that the manufacturers have tended to be supportive, by and large. Now, there's 2 ways that these kind of group buys have failed, Rue. So this is kind of like a tangent. There's 2 kinds of ways that these group buys have failed. In fact, maybe this is a good opportunity for us to use the whiteboard. Okay, so there's kind of let's get a whiteboard up for you. Right. Okay. So it's kind of like 2 ways that group buys have failed. There are those where you have a lead vendor and they go to GMK. Let's just use GMK as the example here. Okay. So they go to GMK. And then what GMK do is they invoice all of the other vendors. So I'll have like V1, V2, V3. And they all feed into GMK. And that's all invoices. What happens typically is that... How do I change colour on this? Is that something like vendor 3 won't be able to pay. So GMK will have vendor 3 sets sat to one side. and no one will have paid for them. GMK have paid for production, but no vendor has paid for them. So there is no money for those, okay? In that circumstance, this is for an example here is the My Keyboard ones. My Keyboard did not pay GMK for those key sets. So what's happened then is vendor 2, Oblo, has come along and he has bought those key sets. So those now go to Oblo, okay? In that situation, GMK may have done them at the original group buy price. They may have done them at a lower price just to get the stock out. They may have sold him a number that he was comfortable picking rather than all of them. It might be split between a number of vendors. There's all sorts of different stuff that can happen there. But so this is option 1. So GMK are made whole. Customers have an issue with vendor 3. And Oblotsky then has those sets in stock or available to sell. He will sell them to those people who missed out for a cheaper price. Or he'll put them in stock and sell them as an in-stock product at standard retail price, and it becomes a normal product at that point. Okay, that's option 1. Option 2 is slightly different. Option 2 is the lead vendor will buy all of the sets from GMK, or, well, let's carry it that. They will buy sets from GMK. And that will include their order, and it will include. Oh, let's undo that. Let's do say small vendor 1. So let's say this is a really small vendor, or it might include small vendor 2, and that's included in there. And then GMK will invoice vendor 3, vendor 4, and this is where these vendors here are not qualified as GMK resellers effectively. So their order is bundled into the lead vendors. So the lead vendor will buy their order and the smaller vendor's order. An example of this is with GMK Euler. So on GMK Euler, it's a little bit more complex. Originally My Keyboard with the lead vendor, so this would have been My Keyboard up here. My Keyboard didn't actually do anything with the set, and they haven't done it, so Prototypist took over as the lead vendor, and Cactus would be this small vendor 1. So we paid GMK, Prototypist, paid GMK for Prototypist sets and for Cactus's sets, and then we invoiced Cactus for their sets, and Cactus said no, they couldn't pay. So at that point, PT was in the red. So you can see where the first one is more beneficial to the hobby in some ways, and the second one just hurts the vendors who've been the lead vendor. Now, the particular one with Euler and Cactus was a bit more difficult because, as I say, My Keyboard stopped being the lead vendor and PT picked that up very late into the process. And GMK actually asked us to do this. They came to do Gabriela at GMK emailed me and said the project hasn't moved in nearly 9 months, can you push it along and take over this? At the time we went to Cactus and said, right, we are taking over your order from My Keyboard, it's going to be bundled into our order, are you comfortable to pay us when that happens? They said yes. We then got the invoice from GMK 4 or 5 weeks later. We paid GMK, and then GMK shipped the sets out to us. As the sets were in flight, we went to Cactus and said, right, it's time for you to pay us, and they went, nah, can't do that. No, well, they didn't actually. They just completely ignored me and declined it, and then put up an announcement in their Discord saying they couldn't pay. So on the second one, for the example with Cactus and Prototypist takes the hit, and Cactus actually sent out an email letter to all of their customers saying, give us your permission to let Prototypist fulfill your order, because they knew I had Cactus sets here physically in the workshop, and they didn't even ask, they just sent me all the customer details and said, you now need to ship all of these to the customers for us because we can't do it. So at that point, I had two choices from a PT perspective. Technically, those sets that I bought from GMK are my property, or Prototypist's property, mine as in the Royal We type of deal. And I could do whatever I wanted with them. I could have given them to the customers, or I could have just chosen to put them in stock and said to Cactus customers, go do a chargeback and they'll be in stock next week and you can buy them directly from us. I chose to give the sets to the customers and take the financial loss because that was the right thing to do. Not because I necessarily wanted to do it. I think it was the right thing to do, and I'm more than happy to do the right thing when situation demands it. But it was a big decision that I had to make. I had to consciously look at the numbers, the cost of it, because of course we had to cover the cost of shipping all these sets to the US as well. And at 25 quid a set to ship to the US, and there's hundreds and hundreds of sets, the impact was tens of thousands of dollars here. It's not like an insignificant amount. So the community doesn't really win on either side of these. It's better for the vendors and GMK when the first one happens. When the second one happens, there is always someone left to pick up the bill. So that's kind of like the breakdown of how that works. I hope that helps. Anonymous Biker, yes, I should finish the coffee before it goes cold. All.corpo, agile and scrum experience coming to work here, guys. Jay doing one sexy whiteboard job. Dude, it'd be so much better if I could use my Apple. Maybe I could have set up my iPad and probably streamed it that way. Maybe I should do that for future, because I could be a lot neater if I had the ability to draw and I wasn't using a mouse. So yeah. Skimson, thank you so much for the 18 months of subs. I thoroughly appreciate you. Use the rectangle tool. Oh shit, it was after taking over from my keyboard. Hadn't realized. Yeah, so on Euler, we took over from my keyboard because they just hadn't progressed with it. I still have no idea what happened to my keyboard's Euler sets. I assume they weren't paid for, and I don't know if they were in the Oblotsky list. I didn't check to see, but man, it was frustrating. It was frustrating. Can't PT just sell them later? Sell what later? Well, I had a choice effectively. So I bought the sets off of GMK. So technically they were PT sets. We owned them. Captors had sold those sets to customers and taken the revenue for them, but they hadn't paid us for the sets. At that point, you can argue that those sets are technically owned by the customer, even though they're not from a legal perspective. So I had the choice either to sell them and tell everyone to charge back to Captors, or to just give them to the customers. And we just gave them to the customers because it was the right thing to do for the community. This may be a more sensitive question, but how are the vendors decided on? If there were multiple vendors in one region, what would decide who will carry the set? So a lot of the time that comes down to the designer. So for example, I hope Snicket doesn't mind me mentioning him here, but for Pandora, he came to me and he said, would PT run Pandora for him, KKB Pandora? We said yes, and he chose us as the regional vendor. That tends to happen a lot. The designers like who they work with, and they just approach the vendors they like, the vendors who they feel do a good job for the community, and that's the way I like it to be. I prefer vendors to come to us and ask to work with us because they like what we do. That feels way more organic and way more natural than me going out to designers and saying, I want to run your stuff. That feels like forced business almost in a way. There have been a couple of occasions where I've absolutely loved something to death and said to someone, I really want to run this product because I really like it. But there's probably less than 10 occasions of that happening in the past 5 years. So primarily it's decided by the designer. So for example, the designer of Euler, he approached Captors Keycaps, who were kind of up and coming at the time. They agreed to run it for the US customers. At the time, it didn't have any impact on me because I wasn't the lead vendor. I was just another sub-vendor for that particular set, and it only became an impact to me because I took it off of my keyboard. So technically, in some ways, I could blame my keyboard for it, but I won't because that would be unfair. So yeah. Snicket confirmed it as well. Vendors are project decided by the designer of the cell board. Sometimes if the designer doesn't know vendors in a certain area, he might ask his lead vendor and they will say, oh, we've worked with these vendors in the past. We can approach them for you if you want as well. That's something else. Can you take legal action against Captors though to recoup? So, yes, I could, but given the fact that Captors has gone bankrupt and has the administrators in and has no money, I'm not going to get anything back from them. They're like, it will cost me money to force through a settlement, and I'll get nothing for it. So there's kind of like a point of no return almost on it. Like, what's the point in doing it if it's just going to cost me more money? And that's a really difficult mindset to have, but you have to be comfortable being able to just say, we've made a loss, let's draw a line under that and move on, or say, actually, no, I am so irate at this situation that I am personally going to try and make an impact, even if I don't get any more money back. Those are the options. Anonymous Biker, thank you for the gift sub to Shadowrun. That gets us a little bit closer to our subs goal. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Bees Keys, hey man, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, they're in Oblotski's list. Thank you, Keep Sounds. I did mean to check and I never got around to it, but it's good to know that people who bought Euler from my keyboard will be able to get a set. The Euler situation really sucked. Dude, I am not an angry individual. There was a day when I came into the workshop and Mel didn't even come and speak to me because she could tell how angry I was with the whole situation. Like, I was so frustrated. Luckily, I had just sold a car from my personal car, and that covered the cost of shipping all of the products to the US just about. It was slightly less, but it was just about enough to cover for that. So it didn't impact the business more than just the cost of the GMK sets, which was still tens of thousands of dollars. So, yeah. Anarchy, thank you so much for the Prime Gaming sub. I really appreciate it. 32 months now. That's absolutely huge. Thank you very much. Thank you. Fun fact, Jay approached the designer for the JO2 to sell the kit at PT. Technically, I suppose. Technically, considering that was designed in-house by our member of staff. Technically. So Captus are in the wind with the money, says Dynamics. So, yeah, so Captus took the money from customers. They then spent it and now have no money and can't pay their bills and expect me to fulfill for them, which I've done. They took advantage of my goodwill because they reached out to their customers without ever saying a word to me, saying, we can get these fulfilled for you, but it'll be through Prototypist. Are you okay as giving Prototypist your details? Of course, their customers said yes, because why wouldn't they? And then Captus sent us the bill and sent us the list and said, these now all need shipping out to customers, and we can't pay you. So, yeah. Going back to the previous diagram, were you a sub-vendor working through mykeyboard.eu or a second vendor? So we have never been a sub-vendor. We are a registered GMK vendor. We can lead our own projects. We can get pricing. We can order directly from GMK. We've never needed to be a sub-vendor. We've just always been a secondary vendor, and sometimes we've been the lead vendor. So Higambana, Zooted, Midnight Rainbow. There's been loads of sets. Bleached, we've been the lead vendor for. So yeah. Thanks, Jay. If I understood correctly, the producers don't lose much in the end, and most of the risk goes to community, including vendors. Yeah, so Russo, I think there is more risk on. There's more risk on the vendors, I'd say, than anywhere else. Luckily, most of the world, the customers have some recourse, such as doing a chargeback. They can get their money back at the very least. In the situation I am with Captus, it will cost us significantly more money to try and chase down the money than the money that Captus owes us and the money that they have available to pay us. So, and Captus knows this. He's not a daft person. The guy who owns Captus is not a daft person. He knows this. He knew what he was doing when he sent that email to his customers. So, yeah. From a GMK perspective, they are a manufacturer and supplier. They will get their money one way or the other. They'll either hold the product back until they're paid for it, or they will hold it back until they can sell it to someone else. That completely makes sense for GMK. I don't think that I would have... I'm turning my camera off again. Hold on. There we go. I don't think I could have slept at night if I'd have made customers buy the set again then. I just don't think I could have done it. If I was in the first situation, like Oblotsky is with a lot of my keyboard stuff, absolutely, because we're buying the stuff and then offering it for sale and we're making that decision. When it was like the stuff with Captus, I just couldn't have done it in any other way. Pokemon says, what happens to the sets which my keyboard has in their warehouse? Would the liquidators reach out to you or the caps just written off? So that depends. It's different everywhere in the world when the liquidators come in. I suspect they'll go to auction locally. That will probably mean one of the other EU vendors can pick them up. It's highly unlikely that we'd be able to pick them up. My keyboard owed me a ton of stuff as well. So, Gemma, thank you so much for the gift sub as well. I thoroughly appreciate that. We're one closer to our gift, to our total sub goal. So thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. Oh, thank you very much, Gemma. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You're so kind. You're so kind. Those who saw the Black Simon stream where Jay was talking. Yeah, so Simon asked me about the situation. I didn't know he was streaming live at the time. N360, thank you so much for the sub as well. I thoroughly appreciate that, my dude. I didn't know Simon was streaming, so I was like, oh, here's the situation, and this is what Captus, this is the email Captus sent me. And like, because I don't mind sharing stuff like with Simon, but that's not something I want to share with the whole community. What is the reason for not getting the orders out? How do they just run out of money? I know it's mostly bad planning, but I just can't seem to get my head around it. So one of the things I want to talk about later on is give you a breakdown. I won't say what set we're talking about, but we'll run through the real costs for running a GMK set, the real number of orders and the real number of sales and the real retail pricing for something. And I will show you just how easy it is for these companies to go under. We'll talk about that later on in the stream. Going forward, will you never pay on behalf of another vendor? So there is a new rule in place how we are handling this internally for Prototypist. We are going to be the lead vendor for GMK Nerve. We are the lead vendor for GMK Nerve. I have the samples here, which came out great. There are certain vendors for Nerve that cannot be GMK registered at the moment, so they can't order through GMK. We will be picking up the tab for them, but they will be paying us before we pay GMK. So the way GMK will invoice PT is they will invoice us with 3 separate chunks if there's 3 vendors, or 4 separate chunks if there's 4 vendors, and we'll make it very clear about which parts we're making a payment on and when. With GMK, we have like with most manufacturing, you don't pay 100% up front. It's kind of like split, so some manufacturers you pay 50% up front and 50% on completion, others it's 10% now and the remaining 90% in 90 days or something like this payment terms. So during the payment terms that we have with GMK, the other vendors will have to pay us, and if they don't, their orders will get cancelled. They won't get it, and then customers will have to go and get a refund from them. So yeah. Seen Liquidator sell off some pretty weird products before. Wouldn't be surprised if they did the research and found somewhere. Yeah, they may well do. They'll probably reach out to some of the EU vendors that do it. Yeah. Where did they spend it? I don't know, because I don't know their financials, but I will talk through how some of the costs for group buy stuff goes in a few minutes time when we get onto that part of the stream. Suited was your fault. Disgusting. I didn't design it, we just ran it. We were just the lead vendor. Mike Even liquidation. I don't think so yet, but I don't think it's far away. I can think of more choice terms than daft. It's a family friendly stream, right? I guess that there's a risk of being lead with other unknown other vendors, that being leader, the risk goes to the lead if something happens. Yeah, it was just slightly frustrating that it happened because we were trying to fix something that another vendor should have done in the first place. Like, theoretically, that loss shouldn't have been mine. It should have been another company's. So yeah, we'll see. Have my keyboard made any kind of statement, or are they just still saying silent? I think their silence says a lot. I think their silence says that they are on the cusp or already in administration. So yeah, chargeback won't always work. Yeah, I mean that's like a that's the only risk which is on the customer, right? I can't fix that, unfortunately, for the world. Can you please tell Shadow Realm to buy a keyboard? Yeah, buy a keyboard, dude. We've got loads. We've got tons. Yeah. Seems like my keyboard has had partial delivery of some sets on Oblo's list. They've been selling a couple of sets of GMK Boho recently. Odd. It might be that the ones that Oblowski has bought is just overstock at GMK. It could be from something else. It could have been from Mexico, whoever the lead vendor was for it, or something like that. So, Nerve came out great. Top, like, look at look at the colors here. Let me turn. Oh no, not that one. Not that one. That one. Look at the colors here. Like, the yellow came out so good. The yellow came out super cool, super saturated. There it is next to Analog Dreams. It's such a good yellow. The purple's great as well. The beige is just a standard beige, so I won't show you that. But the colors came out so great. Just for some reference colors, like there's them next to some standard GMK colors. It came out so good. Super happy with those. Some of the now defunct vendors ended up acting more like Ponzi schemes. It's all fine until the new money dries up. I think calling them a Ponzi scheme is a little bit unfair, because that's just an assumption that they're selling more to pay off previous, and that's not the case. I think there's a big assumption that when you're doing this, how can I wipe this? Where's the wipe tool? I don't know. Let's just erase everything. Let's just erase it all. There's a big assumption that everything that vendors do is kind of like put into like pots for each group buy, and that's just not the way you can run a business. Like, you just can't run a business that way. There must be a better wipe tool than that. Sticky notes, text, rectangle. No. I wonder if we just undo everything. Can we just undo everything? Is that going to let us, or is it going to cap out? Oh no, it's going to let us do it. Right, okay, great. So I think what tends to happen is that the companies will run a group buy, and they will get some money. And then that money has to pay for a few things. So that money has to pay for the production. It has to pay for shipping later on. But then it also has to pay for business expenses because they have a business to run. So that might be a warehouse. This is so hard with a mouse. They have to pay for potentially an office. They have to pay for staff. And that amount isn't going to cut this for more than a few months. That one group buy, and you'll see later on, isn't going to cut it for a while. So what's the solution? The solution is to sell more product, right? So then you see that they'll have another product selling and another one, and so on and so forth. The issue is that cash flow is king. So all of a sudden, when a project fails, they don't have that cash flow. Well, what do they stop paying first? Do they not pay for their office? Do they not pay for the warehouse? Do they not pay for the staff? They cut back on costs as much as they can, but eventually there are contracts. They'll have signed a lease that has 12 months to run for it. They will be in a position where they can no longer get financial aid, like a loan or something like that, and they'll fall over. They'll just go bankrupt. And that's what happened to Mex & Co. I think if Mex & Co had run less sets, they would have gone bankrupt sooner. I genuinely think that Mex & Co would have gone bankrupt sooner if they'd run less sets. The sheer volume of sets that they ran allowed them to continue for so long. And I think if the GM... So the reason that they were going to do it is because they planned on selling extras of this. So they had another chunk tied to the same production that would have been a further income later on from extras. And they couldn't sell that because that didn't happen. So because the extras took 2 years to come through, that didn't happen. So they had no money, and this money, this first part of money, ran out. And when you're in that position, it's difficult to do. And I'm not trying to defend them. I'm not trying to say that it's a good thing. I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing. But what I am trying to say is this is the reality of running a business. If you don't have cash flow of some sort, then you can't pay your bills. And if you can't pay your bills, you can't keep the company going. And it doesn't matter what you've spent in the past, because that's spent money. You can't get that back. You can't undo it. So you're kind of in a trapped situation. And when you're in those situations, it's really hard to pull yourself out from a financial perspective, because if you can't get a loan, if you can't get investment, this is why my keyboard tried to get an investor, right? They were in this position. They had run out of capital. They had no money in the bank to pay for things. So they were looking to try and get an investor in to give them capital to continue paying things so that they could then sell more product in the future and rebuild the business. It's a difficult situation. And the biggest challenge with that was the lead times. Like if you're planning on doing this part, if you're planning on doing the group buy and selling the group buy stuff here, and that's going to fund you for 4 months, and then you've got the extras that you're expecting to arrive between 6 to 9 months to then fund another 2 months afterwards, and all of a sudden that doesn't happen, and that doesn't happen then on 20 sets consecutively because the timeline's pushed out so far. You're in a dead space where you are literally praying for that product to come in to try and sell it. Cash flow is so key to businesses running, and if cash flow doesn't happen, you can't do it. And the reason why you can't silo funds, if you do group buys, you can't silo this amount of money here. You can't silo it, because you'll say, right, well, I've got production and shipping to do, but where are my warehouse fees going to come from? How am I going to pay for my warehouse? How am I going to pay for my staff? How am I going to pay for gas, lighting, electricity? How am I going to pay for heating? How am I going to pay for water to the premises? How am I going to pay for waste collection? You know, how am I going to pay for my accountant? How am I going to pay for the postage? How am I going to pay for a company vehicle to take things to the post office? All of that kind of stuff comes into it. And without cash flow, it doesn't happen. You have to have cash flowing. Cash has to be coming in, cash has to be going out. That's the whole point of a business. That's how businesses work. If you siloed the money off from every group buy and said that is only ever going to get touched for that particular group buy, you would never be able to pay for warehousing. You'd never be able to pay for staff. You'd never be able to pay for anything. It just doesn't work like that. You have to be able to produce stuff in the kind of correct way, and also make sure you're holding enough money back that if things go wrong, you have a buffer. And the only way you make a buffer is to make a profit. So you have to bear that in mind. The big COVID delays really hurt cash flow. Yeah, so like one of the biggest things is that people think that, and we'll talk about this when we go through stuff in a second, but people think that group buys make money at group buy stage. They don't. 90% of group buys do not make a profit at group buy stage. 90% of group buys make money when you sell extras. And if you can't sell the extras, you can't do it. There's a text tool on the left toolbar. I like to draw different text. I like to draw. Leave me alone. So yeah. Doesn't that make the vendor take literally no risk? No, we'll talk about that in a second. Like, this is the whole risk that the vendor's taking. The whole thing that we just talked through a second ago, that's the vendor taking that risk. They are taking the risk that they are betting that the extras will come in at a certain date to allow them to sell them as a profit-making tool, which all businesses need to make a profit. Businesses wouldn't exist if they didn't. The profit is not a dirty word, but the businesses need to sell the extras to make the profit to keep the lights on. And if they can't do that, they don't have money to invest in keeping the lights on, making new products, doing in-stock product runs, all of that kind of stuff. The only other way to do it is to get funding and investment, and that's not always possible. Certainly on like a risky niche business like keyboards, like if you went to a bank and asked them for money, they'd say no. Like there's no business case in the world, I think, for keyboards that you'd be able to get money on. Like the standard like PT and novel keys and Canon keys run on, that you'd be able to get like huge amounts of investment. How much do you think the delays of GMK from a few years ago contributed to the issues that vendors like My Keyboards and other failed ones ended up facing? Obviously can't blame them, but it would be interesting to know. I think it's a big factor. I don't think it's necessarily the only factor, so please don't think I'm defending these vendors. I'm really not. They made bad business decisions and got found out. They fucked up and found out. And that's literally what it comes down to. But this is the explanation as to why they got fucked up. This is the explanation as to why, they got found out. So it's a really interesting position to be in. Lack of real good vision for the future. Some sets were totally fine to run in quantity they did, like Terra Below. I see what you did there, but they put way too much money into some dead projects that didn't even perform a group by stage. So at the time, you're not wrong, Afresh. This is kind of like this is something that was endemic to keyboards for about a period of 2 years, that there was a view that we were in a post-MOQ society, and I think the person who coined that was Man of Interests. And it was kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy that at some point between like 2017 and 18, everyone viewed that the hobby was going to get to a point where it would be in a post-MOQ world. No one would have to worry about MOQ. And in 2019, 2020, 2021, designers thought that was the position they were in. They thought that they could submit sets and the vendors would probably buy it out. And there were very few that got cancelled during this phase. The GMK Shorebound got cancelled because it sold none. I think it sold 5 worldwide. So that was one that got cancelled. Jim K poops in the pool or whatever it was, that got cancelled as well. But the vast majority, 99% of stuff that happened in that bubble window, there was kind of like a community expectation, a vendor expectation, a designer expectation that we were in a post-MOQ world, and anything that you could produce, if GMK and other manufacturers kept to the timelines, would sell in stock. That was the assumption that everybody made, not just the vendors, but the designers and the community as well. And it wasn't. It was a self-fulfilling failure of prophecy because it didn't happen. So, yeah. Dead projects were a thing, but no one saw them as dead projects at that point. There's stuff that we bought into that I wish we hadn't. Like we did DCS Alchemy, and we have sold something like 10 sets of that. We bought 100 or something like that. We've sold 10 sets of it in the lifetime of it. It's just the way it is. But it's a good point of fresh, yeah. I like that point. Diversity and volume of product helps to ensure 1 or 2 delayed group buys don't sink you. Incredible. To an extent, Geeky Ed, yeah, it's a good way of taking it. You need to be diverse, and you need to have multiple different options for revenue income, whether that be in-stock products, group buys, pre-orders, whatever other business model you want to wrap it around. You just have to have that in position. I can tell you that Mexico were working towards some future projects like a month before the collapse. It was all based on future return on investment. Can't do business like that. So you say that, but 90% of businesses work on future return on investment. That's how a lot of businesses work. If you look at any big corporation, they forecast what they're going to earn in the next quarter, and then their share price goes up or down based on whether they meet that forecast or not. And everybody always forecasts for growth. Nobody ever forecasts for a downturn in the market. And this is just part of the way that economics works in general. That everyone is so striving for growth within a capitalistic world set that you have to be seen to be looking forward. And that then filters down to every business, and so few businesses put money aside for the bad times that they just assume that growth's going to happen. And why wouldn't you? Like, if you're in a situation where last month you sold 100 products, this month you sell 1,000, next month why wouldn't you sell 2,000? You don't know. And if that keeps going on for so long, it becomes such an ingrained behavior, and the graph keeps tracking upwards. Why don't you believe that's going to go on forever? People do. And I'm not saying that you're wrong to say that that's not how you should do business. I'm just saying this is how a lot of business is interpreted. And past performance is not always an indicator of future performance, but it's the only thing you've got. So a lot of businesses do forecast based on past performance as an expectation of what future performance is going to be. And no one expects that performance to drop. Like, just no one does. It just doesn't happen. So it doesn't surprise me that Mexico were trying to do some future projects like a month before they went under, because they're literally trying to save the business at that point. They know they need cash flow. So the only way to get more cash flow is to sell more product, to do more things. And if they don't have the stuff in stock to sell, they have to sell another group buy or pre-order. So it's just literally that they're trying to prolong the business. That's not a Ponzi scheme. That's just a business cash flow issue. Like, if Mexico could have held out for another 7 months, they would have had no issue, because GMK would have caught up and everything would have been in stock, and they'd have been able to sell the stuff in stock, right? So they just needed to wait, and they couldn't wait long enough. That was where Mexico got found out. They just could not push the company along long enough. And this is what we're seeing with my keyboard right now. Can they push the company along long enough to be able to get money to pay off the bills and debts that they owe? And the answer seems to be no, because GMK are now giving stuff to Oblotsky and selling stuff to elsewhere. So that's kind of it. Let's catch up with chat though, see what you guys are saying. Seems like a weird conversation to be having while using a decimal that is shamelessly ripped design. Yeah, I get that. I wonder how Oblo does it. Isn't it he just himself? Yeah, I suspect that Oblo's actual revenue and turnover and number of sales isn't as great as some other vendors is, but because he's a one-person band, he doesn't need that kind of level of revenue, and he literally just does 90% of what he does is key sets, which is quite easy as well. He, like, the keyboards that he does are few and far between and stuff like that. So he's just got a segment of the market that he's comfortable owning and doing, and he's great at what he does. And Oblo's a really good guy as well. So you should support PT and Oblo. Yeah, he also has less overheads as well. Overextend himself in the interest of greed. Yeah, it's an interesting point, because capitalism is greed by nature. That's almost the definition of capitalism, greed. It's an interesting point. With this being talked about, I'd rather pay more at group buy stage to give you more of a buffer. If the group buy stage isn't profitable vendors, then this isn't sustainable. We'll talk about that in a second. I want to do some unboxings first and show you some cool stuff, and then we'll get into some literal examples. I'll make a spreadsheet and I will show you some real numbers from a group buy so you can see exactly how it works. GMK Prussian Brew got cancelled. That's a bummer because it was a great set compared to others. Yeah, like loads of sets did get cancelled if they didn't sell. If the community doesn't buy it in group buy, then why should vendors invest in it, right? If it doesn't sell in group buy, the community is telling vendors that that product doesn't deserve to exist. And that is why I do think that group buys are valuable, because it makes the hobby more sustainable overall. Sustainability, I mean, I'm not talking about environmental sustainability, but sustainability in terms of longevity of business is based around successful decisions on products to stock and sell. And group buys are an excellent parameter of market research to show what is a good product and what will and what won't sell. The more you sell in a group buy, the more likely you are to buy more extras. That's just simple. It's a great barometer for that. Is a group buy. Same with pre-orders. Pre-orders are a little bit different because my definition of a group buy is that it's not entered production yet. My definition of a pre-order is it's already in production. The vendor has bought X number of sets and now they're just selling some upfront for a little bit of a cheaper price and to keep cash flow going. GMK Star was one of the sets which shouldn't happen. Sure. Gaff is back. He is. Yeah, I saw that. Besides large sales volumes, what is the single biggest thing that would help vendors? And more importantly, where did you get the drawers behind you? These are from Bisley, so you can search that Bisley. Large sales volumes, what's the single thing that helped vendors? Cheaper manufacturing prices, I think, would be the big thing. That's what Vala did. Vala was in the exact same scenario. They just did the right thing to move existing inventory and made the hard choices. Yeah. Maybe. I've seen that. M&C just chose money. M&C just didn't have the stock to sell. They just didn't have the stock. That was the issue. They just only sell e-waste. I mean, lighters, baseball bats, and other things. Oof. Did you see that particular person is now selling their house? That's the thing. Thanks for going so in depth about this. The community needs more content like this. Like, dude, I would love to share this with the world. I really do, because I think there's a lot of missed opportunity in explaining how group buys work to just general people in the hobby, and people assume and make an assumption on what they believe is how a group buy runs, without having any history of how businesses work, and that can be a little bit of knowledge can be dangerous if you don't have the whole picture. And I think that there's even people who know how business works but don't realize how difficult it is here in the hobby. So, yeah. I'm going to need to watch the VOD of this. Cool, man. You'll be able to watch the VOD. Mind including the design approaching the vendor in that and how that normally looks and what makes you decide to go for it or not? Yeah, I can talk about that now, to be honest. Usually what happens is a designer will either email me, they'll DM me on Discord, they'll message me on Slack, they'll message me on a platform, and they will send me a link and they'll say, I've got this project, are you interested in it? And I'll look at it and I'll think, yeah, I'm interested in that, let's do it. I'll think, oh dude, that's really cool, I'm 100% down for that. Or I'll think, I'm not so sure that that's a good project, and we'll make some hard decisions. We say no to more products than we say yes to overall. Like if I look at the lifetime history of PT, I think we've said yes to about 30% and no to about 65-66%. I don't have the exact number, but that feels like it's probably about right. And there's a lot of things I'm glad we didn't take the risk on. There's a few projects I wish we hadn't taken the risk on, but there's a lot of things like PBT Fans Retro 100. I thought that was a surefire winner. I thought it was going to sell great. I bought a ton of that in stock. It's not sold very well. Just the way it is. Just the way it is. Designer cuts. I'm just undoing the thingy at the minute. Sunday spelling going on here. Data-driven decisions in action. So data is difficult in the hobby because no one shares it, so you only have what you've got to go on, and that's not always the best thing to go on. So yeah, yeah, that's an interesting one. Bisley filing cabinets are great. Yeah, I couldn't resist this when I saw it. Yeah, I just had to buy it. I still need to fit the soft closed bits of the elements of the drawers, but With group buys, vendors can avoid having tons of sets in stock that are never going to sell. Yep, absolutely. The problem is most buyers, people in the hobby, would only own one board and keycap set, so it's hard to sell things on a regular basis. We have a set of customers, a cohort of customers that are repeat customers, and we have a cohort of those customers that are serial repeat customers, to the point that we can almost guarantee week by week how much they're going to spend on average. But you are broadly correct. Only about 50% of our customers at PT are returning customers. The other 50% are new customers, and they tend to have 1 to 5 orders with us, and that kind of tends to be it. So, yeah. Sorry, Jay, my internet died. I don't know if you saw my message. Zoom 75 is being stuck next week. Next couple of weeks. I don't want to say next week, and it's not right. Which group buy do you regret taking on the most? I don't think there's anything I regret taking on. I think there's a few projects that I wish had done better. Mercury 65 would be one of them. Rocket Keyboards made that a very difficult project to work on, and we made significant losses on that. So that probably be one. There was other projects that I've helped get to fruition that have not generated a profit yet because extras haven't sold particularly well, but they were done because I was friends with the designers, and making decisions based on friendship isn't always the right one. So Alison and Argyle would be 2 of those. They're great products, they're fantastic boards, but I don't think we've sold. I think we've sold 1 or 2 Alisons since they went in stock, and I think Argyle's we've sold about 8 or 9 since they went in stock. So those projects will probably never even break even, but they're great products. I'm glad we did them, but from a financial and business perspective, they probably weren't the wisest idea. PB Fans Retro 100 is in stock, Ungodly, if you want it. So yeah.
Tasty.
If I had more money, I'd be buying a keyboard every week. Fair. Magic Turtle, thank you so much for the subscription. We're getting really close to that 150 subs target there. So yeah, thank you very much for that. If a set does well in group buy, is there an incentive to run it again as soon as possible, or does it make sense to have a decent amount of time in between rounds? That depends, Varja, on how... So, popularity in group buy does not equal popularity in stock. That's because people's times and tastes change, and if you've got a year between the group buy and it being in stock, the community might have moved on to something else, or there might have been a clone in the meantime, or there might have been something similar that delivered, or excuse me, whatever. I need to turn that off on my camera. So to say that is there an incentive to run a second round straight away really depends on how it's selling in stock. And if it's still in stock, there's no point in running a second round. It has to sell out all of the vendors worldwide before there's any point in doing a second round. Tangus, thank you so much for the 5 tier 1 gift subs, dude. That takes us to our total subs goal already. I'm going to have to adjust that now. I don't even know how I did it. I feel like I'm going to have to adjust the subs goal. So thank you so much for getting us there. Dude, that's phenomenal. That's crazy. That's unbelievable. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for getting us to the subs goal already. I'm gonna have to increase it to like 200 now. I don't even know where it was. I can't even remember where it was now under the stream stuff. Another 5 gift subs as well. Thank you so much, guys. Iko Megami, thank you so much for the 5 gift subs, guys. That means the world to me. It shows that you guys are interested in hearing this stuff and me doing it. Thank you so much for that. I've been called out. Close to 5 pages of orders. I could not comment. Alison looks fine, but it's a bit too pricey. Any lower and it's making no money. That's the problem. Any lower and it's being sold at a loss, True Blaze. So yeah. Yes, Argyle is in stock right now. CG Buen. Trojan, thank you so much for giving the gift sub there as well. Thank you so much for that, dude. 161 subs now. Nice. I'm gonna try and figure out where. I thought it was in the subscriptions thing. And another one from Trojan. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. I don't even know how to thank you for it. I really don't. Like, thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate that. And another one. Thank you, dude. Thank you. Oh, guys, you're so good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Consider Perestroika, which was made in was mid-group buy, but went great when extras hit. That's the other way it can go. Sometimes it can go slow, sometimes it can go quick. Dandy Extra was an instant sellout and extra, and they're running again already. Yeah, so Dandy took about 6 months to sell out, which is what I aim for. Like, if we put something in stock, I expect it to take 6 months to sell out. That is a good phase, I think. But yeah, absolutely. Once it's sold out, it's basically just restocking it, right? That's what we're doing. We're seeing if the market wants to restock it. You did chuckle at that burp. I apologize. I very rarely do burp or anything, but yeah. Trojan, thank you so much for all the gift subs there, dude. I thoroughly appreciate that. Thank you so much. Have you ever reached out to a designer to make a second round of something, or do you usually just let designers approach you about rerunning projects? I think it's better when it's the designers that lead their projects. Like, if a vendor is pushing designers to make more products, it tends not to work out so well. Mantis, thank you so much for the gift subs. Guys, thank you so much for these. This really means the world to me that you're dropping all these gift subs. An organic approach to a hobby generating new products is significantly better for the community than vendors who are out to make money pushing designers to make new things. That's my ultimate goal for it. This is why we haven't released like tons of J-series boards and stuff like that, because I want it to feel organic and the process to go when I feel like it's the right time for it to go. Received any Twixes lately? I did receive some Twixes last week, so whoever that was, someone sent me it as a bribe. They put a note on the box saying bribe, which was really nice of them. So thank you for that. Thank you so much for the gift subs, guys. Like, we're now at 163. We've smashed it. 150. I'm gonna have to put it up to 200. So yeah, I felt very seen when Jay mentioned his cohort of regular customers. There are names we recognize. Don't worry, there are names we recognize. The interesting thing is, I don't know who the Discord persona is of some of the names, but I recognize everyone's Discord names and I recognize everyone's real names. I just don't know. There's a disconnect between the two because for data protection reasons, I don't put the two together. There are some that I do know just because based on what people have said and what they've shared about their orders, but there's some that I don't know. SPC about to get busier. SPC is growing, yeah. SPC is growing. So yeah, Varja, thank you. I think I missed your sub, but thank you for that. Void Main GR, thank you for your sub as well. Mantis for the gift subs too. Thank you so much, guys. Trojan as well. Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you for all your honesty. I really appreciate all the background sharing. Do you think that Hall Effect boards will become more popular in the community? Yes. Yes, I think Hall Effect is a great opportunity for us to learn from new technologies, and I think there's something just beyond Hall Effect that's slightly out of reach that's going to be better. So let's wait for that. Snowball Effect in action. Yeah. Can we get 7 more? Maybe. Subs offsetting your group buy losses. No. Nowhere near. I wish. The Swiss keyboard kit looks so good. Yeah, I'm really tempted to buy the moon version, the silver version for myself. I'm really tempted to buy that. Just need someone to run Future Funk R2. Maybe. You'll neither confirm or deny that box of Twix. Thank you so much if it was you, Tengus. Thank you. Someone, they didn't leave who the name was or anything, which is quite fun. If we get to 200, can we make you do press ups? I tell you what, if we get to 200 on the stream, we'll play marbles and I'll give away some GMK sets. How about that? If we get to 200 before the end of the stream, we'll play marbles for GMK sets for free. Just need the T9 keyboard group buy. I have some news on that. It's very soon, May, so watch out for it. Yeah. Why don't Nordic kits come with an extra hash key? Pipe key, so that you can more than one piece and can benefit from it. So it depends on whether you mean the R3 or R4 version of the pipe / key. But Nordic kits are designed for one person to buy, not multiple people to buy and then split. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work like that. So yeah. JMS, thank you so much for the gift subs as well, dude. Thank you so much. That's another 5. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. It takes us to 170 now. Guys, that's phenomenal. Smashed it. Absolutely smashed it. Destroyed it. Do you vend IC that you personally like or keep your personal taste away from PT choices? There are some that I look at and think, I think that is a great set personally. PPT Fans Retro 100 is an example of this. I look at that, that's a great set. It's a really good set. I like that set. But what I like isn't necessarily what the community and what the market likes. So yeah, so it's impossible to know. So yeah, it's impossible to know. But my personal taste, I try not. There's stuff that we sell that I don't like, absolutely, but that I can see that has value for the community. Stuff like switches, I try not to sell switches that I don't like because I wouldn't put them in a board myself. But stuff like key sets, like there are key sets that we have in stock that I don't particularly like, but the community does. So we stock them because it's great for the community. That's the thing. Clownfish, thank you so much for the 10 tier 1 gift subs, dude. That's phenomenal. Thank you so much. Guys, you are going absolutely nuts today with the subs. Thank you so much. Densis as well, thank you so much for the subscription. Guys, I love you all. Thank you so much for that. At this rate, your shop will become a side hustle. That would take a lot for that to happen, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, technically, anything that we earn on the channel is technically PT's income, but it's not a huge amount of money. Dynamics, I did enjoy the China Group Grand Prix. Yeah, it was good. It was a little bit boring at stages, but it was good to watch it. Yeah, it was good. Thank you so much, Clownfish. I appreciate you. A modest increase of price for 2 to 3 pipe keys would easily pay for itself by selling the unused keys to someone else. Maybe. If you really have a suggestion on that you think that could be something useful, send it to me and I will take a look at it and see if the idea's got legs. Like, there's economical reasons why it might not do. So just send it across and I'll have a look at it. I've almost bought Retro 100 a few times, but I think the caps are a little too yellowy. No doubt about the quality of the set, though. They're more beigey in real life. They're pretty solid. They're really nice. MT New is coming. More MT New is coming. So yeah, that's coming. Right, should we do some unboxings? Because I did say we were going to unbox some stuff. And I have a $2,000 key set that I want to show you and talk about before we get into some actual real numbers from a GMK group buy and talk about how those funds are managed and how that actually looks from a breakdown perspective. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a little bit of time. And we'll do some unboxings now, because that feels good. And if we hit the 200 subs, 20 more subs before the end of the stream, we'll do some GMK giveaways at the end, irrespective of how late it gets. Zed says, what do you want prototypes to become in the future? Continue running lots of projects or aiming for in-stock sustainability? Both. So I like to run lots of little projects, and I think for PT's own stuff, the stuff that I'm interested in, like doing the JO1 final edition this year and the JO3, I think I want to do them as pretty small overall product runs, 50 to 75 units, keep them small. At the same time, I really love serving the community in terms of doing the big stuff like the QK series, the Wook Studio stuff, because that's just helpful getting more people into the hobby, sharing what can be done, and of course stocking key sets and everything else that we do as well. Switch front, I want to do like a curated list of switches. I just want to have them all ready before we put those in stock. We're going to get rid of all the switches that are in stock, and I'm just going to have a set series of 10 to 20 switches that I would personally vouch for, of which we're going to look at potentially one of those today, and have them in stock. So yeah, cool. Okay. Let's click back over to the build stream. Let's hide the that, and let's talk about switches. So in the post, I got these. These are prototype switches, and we're going to do a build with these next week. These are a light tactile long pole switch called cheesecake switches, made by Beeson. And I think that these are going to be BBN killers. If you guys like BBN light tactiles, I think that these switches are going to kill them. They're not the prettiest, no. They're beige on top, dark beige yellowy mustard on the bottom with a red top. And based on cheesecake, if you look at it, biscuit base, cheesecake middle, and a cherry on top. But these switches, they really pleasantly surprised me when I opened them up. I'd agreed to do the project a while back, and I was interested to see what they were going to be like. But these are so nice to press, and they are the smoothest tactile switches I've felt in a long time. The bump feels nice. It's almost straight away as you press the key, but it's a light tactile bump, but really noticeable at the same time. And I'm not usually a tactile fan, but I thoroughly enjoy these, and I really can't wait to put these in a build next week. I have had them in my little macro pad for a few days now, and they've been really useful, really nice to press. I really like them, and we're going to do a build with them next week. We're going to put them in something that's hot swap, I think, and just give them a try and see how they sound on a full build. But I think that this might be the next... I think these might be a BBN killer, and BBN's been really popular here at PT, but I think this might be the switch that takes them over the limit. So yeah, they look cute. They aren't the prettiest. You guys have got way different tastes, but I'm pretty happy with these. The color's pretty good when you look at them up close. Perhaps the face camera might be better for the colors actually. I'll show you them here. There you go. That's more realistic to the colors. And I'm not a tactile fan, but I'm really excited to put these in a keyboard. Like, genuinely really excited. These are the cheesecake switches that are in Icy at the minute, so I'm really looking forward to getting these in. We've got an order in for some already. Yeah. Sounds like if every vendor had 100 more guaranteed customers, we'd be in an MOQ free world. JMS, if we had 100 more customers for every single product, yes. That's a lot of product. Okay. That's the first thing I wanted to show you. Beeson back on the menu. I think so, Keep Science. I think so. The next thing I want to show you is a $2,000 keycap set. A $2,000 keycap set. This is quite possibly the most impressive keycap packaging I have ever seen. This is how your keycaps come, and this is the tool to open them. This is a fully CNC milled wooden box for keycaps. Now, before we talk about what's in here, I want to talk about Keymax themselves. So, Keymax is run by a company. He's run by a gentleman called Willem. I think he's in Romania. I might be wrong on that. I think he's in Romania, somewhere in Europe anyway. And Willem does the most amazing thing. He makes a keyboard that I have here to the side of me. Now this is a Keymax keyboard, and you've seen me use these on stream before if you've watched all the streams. This one is built with Salmon Alps, and it just sounds phenomenal. Thok City, right? Not Romania, but Czechia. Okay, I apologize. I thought it was Romania. It's Czechia. I apologize. I have been corrected. Listen, Nick, thank you so much. I think that is Willem himself. I think. So yeah. So these are phenomenal bits of kit. I have two of these keyboards. Just to be completely disclaimer, I'm not sponsored by Keymax. I just really like the product. That's all, guys. I'm talking about here, right? Okay. These keycaps are something special. These are double shot Alps keycaps that Willem makes himself in his workshop. They are plastic. He resin molds them himself, and he makes each key individually. He CNCs all of his own molds himself on his own CNC. The cases are custom CNC'd. He does everything in his own workshop. And this product is by far one of the nicest in the world. Now, I do have another. I think this has got. This has either got Salmon Alps or Brown Alps in. I've got another one that's got the other in as well, and I love both of them. They're some of my favorite keyboards. I did take this one apart the other day, and I've ruined the spacebar. I need to fix the stabilizer on this, but I haven't got around to that yet. And these keycaps are really cool. So the thing about these keycaps is they are Willem's own sculpt. So he has created his own sculpt for these. They have his own profile, own sculpt. They are spherical. And they are some of the nicest feeling keycaps that you could ever have. Now, these feel like a mix between MT-New and MT3 with a good amount of SA thrown in there as well. They are textured, they are smooth, but kind of textured to touch. Ham Brother, thank you so much for the subscription, man. I appreciate that. Great Sunday streams, yeah. And all of these boards, as I say, he makes them in-house. Like, he does all of the milling himself, he does all of the assembly himself. I did build one a couple of years back. One came pre-built from him, and they're designed to look like the old Symbolics board. Now, I love these keycaps. The problem is, I don't always want to type on Alps, because Alps are loud, and I have to be in the mood for it. As much as I love them, I have to be in the mood for it. So, I was talking to Willem a while back, and that birthed this project. This is as far as I'm aware, the only full set of MX Keymax keycaps. So these are MX mount Keymax keycaps, and this has been a long time coming because we did some prototypist logo Keymax keycaps a while back. They've all gone now, sadly. I don't have any left to hand, but this is how they come packaged. What an absolute Chad. Absolutely. So this is like, have you ever had to open keycap sets like this before? Whoops. Like, when was the last time you had to get out an Allen key to open up your keycap sets, right? Yeah. The molding process is absolutely something worthwhile watching. Thank you for linking that, Demotex. I really appreciate you linking that. Thought it might be an MX variant. It is, and that was where you were almost right before, honest account, because you said Alps, and these are not Alps. These are MX. And not only are these MX, but as a UK ISO user, you might have a guess at what layout these keycaps are as well. Like, this packaging is insane. Like, this was wrapped really well as well. Like, it's laser engraved on the top. I think that's laser engraved. It feels laser engraved. So yeah. So this is what a $2,000 keycap set looks like, guys. So, we have these really cool legends. That's just dust on the keycaps from the wooden box. But look at the packaging, all milled out nicely. Look, we've got ISO. We've even got stepped ISO enter with MX compatibility. Stepped ISO enter. Look at one of the caps lock variations we've got as well. This is a caps lock keycap. And just look at how thick and chunky these keycaps are. Come on, camera, focus, please. Look at how thick and chunky these keycaps are. They are absolutely phenomenal. These are Keymax keycaps, but with MX mounts. Here is the stepped ISO enter. I'm just going to get the dust off it. Look at how beautiful this thing is. Look at that. Stepped ISO enter. Look how thick that boy is. Look how beautiful this is. No, we don't have step control. Everything else should fit to a 7U standardized layout. We've got GUI keys as well, just so it's compatible with Mac and Windows. GUI keys is the standard here. I think this worked out at something like 13 or 15 euros or something per keycap. But look at it, UK ISO. So I'm so happy with this. UK ISO. Stepped ISO looks so cool. Right, yeah, we're waiting for quotes from Jim K on the steps. Also on the BAE Enter project. And these are just so cool. Such a cool set. I'm so happy with these. I haven't put these on a keyboard yet. 19 euro per 1U double shot. There you go. That's the cost of them. 19 euros per one keycap. And that's because effectively each keycap here is like buying an artisan. It's not like buying a keycap set. It's like buying an artisan. And then when you consider just how thick and chunky and clacky these keycaps are, look how beautiful they are. No 1.5U bottom row. No, but like this was made based on what I wanted. What we do have is for the bottom row we have concave and convex keycaps. So this is the same control keycap, 1.5U, one concave, one convex, which is super cool and not something we see on pretty much any other set. So yeah, I'm so happy with these, like super happy with these. And just the fact that they're all so sculpted and so beautiful, and the legends are great and crisp and everything else, I'm really happy with them. I do have a project that these are going to go on. I can't tell you any more about that project right now. We're going to put them on a board next week and do it. In fact, actually, should I try and find a board that's not getting keycaps on and you do it now? Let's have a look. I need to find a board that's got no keycaps on it. There's ISO enter as well. Okay, this is not the best example for this board. It's Canoe Gen 2, but it's UK, so I think that's a 7U bottom row. So let's just check and make sure that this does fit. Look at the space bar. Look at the space bar. Have you ever seen such a thick boy? Let's just pop these on here for the just for the fun, right? Just to see how they come out. I have no idea how much more it weighs, but it's definitely chunkier. It's probably like the weight of 4 or 5. The other cool thing as well is that is a triple shot front legend for the Euro sign. The interesting thing as well is here we can test the, because this is the first keycap set Willem has made for these stabilizers. We can test and see how they actually fit on the keyboard as well. They're all fitting perfectly at the minute though, Willem, if you're still watching. It fits, yeah, everything fits so far. As this is kind of a prototype set as well because it's the first one. One more thing to get when you win the lottery. Yeah, I see those switches trembling in fear. Like, I want to do like a full build end-to-end where we use these guys, so I will do that probably next week, and we'll try it on the new switches as well, and we'll do it on a board that is more befitting to these keycaps than what I'm putting it on right now. But I just didn't have anything to hand. Step caps for now. Do you have a keyboard that cost me $2,000 as well? Probably. I've got a few that are in that kind of price range, yeah. The fact that I can put stepped ISO enter on something though is so cool. You think they look pretty sweet on that board? Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, they look great, but it's not the best board to be putting like stupidly expensive keycaps on, is my point. Alps boards use Kosar steps. So I think Lispnik is Willem Tengus. I think he is Mr. Keymax himself. The work that has gone into these is unbelievable. Like, I've been following Willem's work for a couple of years now, and I'm always impressed. Like, this is technically the third set of these keycaps I've got, but it's the first ones ever to be done in just for the sheer novelty. Oh, actually, I can't put the bottom row on this because this uses the wrong bottom row. So this uses 1.25 U keys, and I specifically asked for 1.5 U keys because I tend to use wing keyless TKLs. But look at how cool these keycaps look on a board. Look at how cool they are. Look at that. Look how chunky they are.
Incredible.
Bear in mind that these are not tune stabilizers. It sounds so good. I love this. Interestingly enough, GMK do have a mold for stepped ISO enter, they've just never used it. I'm so happy with it. Look how cool they are. Look at that. Just look how cool. Look at that space bar. Oh, I've not even got it on properly. It's on. There we go. It's now on level. There we go. Look at that. These are better than beam spring keycaps. And plus, if you want beam spring, you can just go for ellipsis stuff. I'm not particularly a big fan of it. So this is the same keys as Keymax. So these are the same keys as on the keyboard, but this is the MX version. But they're every keycap is produced to order. So this isn't something that's produced in big bulk. These are produced literally to order, and Willem literally machines the molds for each of the keycaps himself. These are so cool. These are so cool. Like, look how thick these keycaps are. They are absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Like, let's compare a 1U to a G&K keycap. Look at that. Like, the walls are literally 2 or 3 times as thick. They are just insane. I'm surprised these don't just ruin keycaps for you. To an extent they do, but they are just insane. They're so cool. I love the sculpt. I love the feel of them. I don't have any scales to hand. I think I will have to put a heavier spring in the spacebar switch though. But they are so cool. They're phenomenal. They're just phenomenal. Look at the legends as well. The legends are great. They're just so fantastic. They're just so fantastic. Elongated top line on the F. Yeah, for sure. Like it's just such a nice aesthetic for the design choice for the font here as well. Big fan of it. Just, yeah. Like, even down to like the way the lettering is on stuff like shift and caps lock. Like, they're just the spacing between them. Big fan. Big fan. Yeah. Hugely cool. Look at that sculpt as well. Look how aggressive the curve is here. Look how aggressive that is. Huge fan. What I'd love, and I can't afford this, but I would absolutely adore to have a set of this for like a Hyper 7. If you've never seen the Hyper 7, Willem, if you're still watching, go Google the Hyper 7, HYPER number 7, because it would be cool to have a full set. I can't afford to buy it, but it'd be really cool to have. Anyway, I wanted to show you Keymax. I've shown you Keymax. I'm gonna put these away now before I get too excited about them. Oh, you know about the Hyper 7? That was a project I worked on a few years ago. Hyper 7 will be 5K. 183 keys it is, yeah. And a lot of them are 2U POS keys as well. So I just wanted to share this with you guys because it's something that happened this week and I'm hugely impressed with it. So Willem, thank you for making these. I appreciate every single second of effort you put into these. And I'm going to cherish them like long after I'm out of the keyboard hobby and keyboard vendors are not a thing and the community's disappeared and people don't even use keyboards anymore. I'm still going to have these on a shelf somewhere. These are still going to be around. Truly endgame keycaps. Yeah. I just hope other people see the value in them and give Willem an opportunity to make them. I don't think they're going to be for a group buy. This is Willem does these to order, so that you make an order and it's a few months and then they arrive. So yeah. Really love it. I absolutely adore these keycaps. They just feel nice as well. Huge fan. These will be at the meetup, by the way, if you're interested and you're coming to MK UK. These keycaps will be at the meetup because they'll be on the board that they are destined for when that arrives. So yeah, so there we go. That step tenter is looking real nice. Step tenter is just so cool, right? It's just such a cool keycap. It's just such a cool keycap. Huge fan. Huge fan. I can't put into words how much I really like these. Right, okay. I'm going to go take a quick comfort break, guys. And I'll be back in a couple of minutes. And then when I get back, we're going to talk about group buy financials. We're going to break down a real GMK group buy, some real numbers, and we're going to talk about what that means and how it all works from a vendor perspective. So, yeah. Can't believe you never knew of step ISO enters. Yeah, they were a thing, man. GMK have them all for one, but I don't think they've used it in a long time. Yeah, really cool. Really cool. Yeah. Step bottom row. Yeah. Yeah. No need for words. Your face is old, dude. I'm so excited about it. But yeah, I'm going to step away to take a quick comfort break. I'll be back in 2 minutes, maybe 3. Don't forget, if we hit 200 subs by the end of the stream, we'll do some GMK giveaways at the end as well. And then when I come back, we're going to talk about group buys, financials, and I'm going to give you a full breakdown on some real numbers. That's what we're going to do. Cool. Right, give me 2 seconds, guys, and I will be back pretty shortly. Okay, guys, I'm back, much more comfortable now. So yeah, there we go. No need for words. Yeah, thanks, guys. Jay needs sleep because he really liked the keycaps. Yeah, that's how quick it was. It's really warm in here. I've turned off the heater, but I'm really, really flush because it's really warm in here. Don't forget, guys, you can get 30% off GMK Parcel, GMK Moomin, or GMK Panda, or all of them on any of the kits as well. Only while we're streaming using the code keycaps endgame with a question mark. It is linked in chat. It's just here. Look, where is it? It's here. They're all in stock. They'll all ship on Monday if you order them. 30% off. Go take advantage of it. Only until the end of the stream. We've also got a ton of stuff on sale as well, so if you want to check out our in-stock stuff that's on sale, go take a look at that, and maybe it'll interest you. Right, let's talk about... I'm just going to get in some information ready here. Let's talk about a GMK group buy. I need to pull some information together because I didn't even get this all together. I'm not going to tell you what set this is because it wouldn't be fair of me to tell you that. But I'm gonna have a look at it, right, and get the information together. So I've got it all. I can put it into a table. Okay, so let's flick back over to here and let's flick back on the browser. So nice, simple spreadsheet. Just want to walk you guys through some numbers and show you how a group buy really works. I should move this out of the way while I took a break. I didn't. Oh well. And there is some complexities with this because we've got to talk about like conversions from currencies and all of that kind of stuff as well. So we're going to make some high level changes to this. But I'm going to give you a breakdown. So in chat, drop me what you think the costs are to run a group buy. Give me what you think is the list of realistic costs of things. So it might be manufacturing cost, it might be shipping cost, that kind of stuff. You give me a list of what you think is needed to be able to run a group buy from a cost perspective. Hold on, let me get out my Notepad++. I mean, you can always walk back on the stream if you want to, but like, feel free to drop in chat things that you think are real costs, manufacturing. Don't give me numbers, just give me things that you think are real costs. So it might be shipping costs, it might be production costs, it might be stuff like that. Give me real things that you think are actually part of it, and I'll break it down for you. Fulfillment, salary costs, yeah, delivery, designer. Let's make a list of these and we'll come back to them and see how many we tick off as we go through it. So delivery costs, I'm going to assume you mean from menu to vendor. So let's list these all down here and we'll come back to them later on. I am going to tell you, don't worry, I'm just going to show you guys how much you miss. Is kind of like the point of this. Designer fees, yeah, okay. Wages, yeah. 10 bananas. Order cancellations, yeah. Marketing, yeah. Yeah. New mold costs, yeah, potentially. Color samples, yeah. Websites. Yeah. Materials, yeah. Okay. Plastic cost, salary cost, commission for designer. Okay, so I think the only one we haven't covered there, honest accountant, would be the manufacturing cost, which no one's actually mentioned yet. So manufacturing, which I'm going to put down as the production, as like the plastic cost. Like we'll roll that into one because that'll be a production cost. QA issues, yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to call that QA failure because that's where it has a cost. It's cheating if I guess. I'm not cheating, no. We're talking about keycaps. I'm just giving you an example. These are all costs that the vendor might have. Vendor fees, yeah, okay. And what we're going to do is I'm going to talk you through an example, and when we get to the end, we'll either have a load of stuff left on your list, or we won't have covered everything on your list. It'll be one of the two ways. Boxes and packaging, yeah, that's a good one. Thank you for taking a single base. Oh, we'll talk. Well, you'll see some numbers. Shopify cost. Yeah, I'm going to call that fees. But yeah, there is. Yeah, internet. Yeah. Let's just put that down as utilities. Yeah. Tax. That's a good one, Saberclass. Taxes. Yeah, taxes are a big thing. Okay. Right, you guys have covered most of the stuff we're going to talk about here. So let's just call this set GMK A. In fact, no, because there is a set called GMK. Let's just call this set GMK Alpha because I'm going to talk you through it. Now, these are real numbers from a real key set. I'm not going to tell you what the key set is. I'm not going to tell you what MOQs it hit or anything like that. What I'm going to tell you is I'm going to tell you how many I bought, what the cost to produce it is, how much we sold it for, and we're going to go from there. Now, we're only going to base this on the base kit. I'm not going to go through child kits because that makes it really complex. So we're going to go through that. So let's talk about base kit numbers. And there's two numbers for this. We're going to have two rows of information here. And you tell me if this is large enough. Let me make it a touch larger. What are we on now? 150. Let's make that 175. Just so you can see. So we've got base kit numbers, and we've got two things for that. There's how many did we sell at group buy, so we're going to call that group buy sales. And there's order number. How many did we order? Or order quantity, sorry. Those are two things. So for this particular set here at Prototypist, we sold 30 of this base kit in group buy. So this is just for a base kit. We sold 30 in the group buy. And in terms of how many we ordered 64 of this base kit. So this is a pretty small GMK group buy. It's not massive numbers. It's pretty small in terms of all things considered, right? I can't remember if this had ISO and UK ISO in it or not. Anyway, so we ordered 64 of this base kit, okay? Now, what do you think? This is a pretty standard base kit, so there's 147 keys. Let me put that into there for you. So 147 keys. Okay, in this base kit. What do you think the production cost per kit was? Prod cost per kit. PK. Oh. That's per kit, not per key. What do you think 147 key base kit costs at GMK? And we'll bear in mind that this is going to be in euros. So let me just change this to wait, what? Oh, format, number, currency, euro. This is going to be in euros. So what do you think that costs in euros? 50 GBP, 50, 85, 80, 45 euros, 70 euros, 60 euros. This particular set for 147 pieces cost 89.24 euros per base kit. 89.24 euros per base kit. And as you can imagine, that's quite a chunk. Let me figure out how much what that was in GBP for us at the time. Because of course exchange rates do factor into this, so I'm just going to try and get the exact numbers here. Okay, so let me just grab a calculator and I will give you the exact exchange rate we paid on this. Now, bear in mind, I'm going to be simplifying some things. 1.159 was the base, was the exchange rate we got for this. So let me add that to memory. So 89.24 divided by memory recall equals, that means that in pounds, the base kit cost us £76 and 98 pence per one. 76.98 per one, and that's in GBP. So let's move that to GBP. Format, number, GBP. Okay, so that was the actual cost to us in GBP. I'm going to overwrite the euro one. We don't need it anymore. We know what it cost us. That was the production cost. So what was the total cost for that? So total cost equals sum, open brackets, that multiplied by that. Okay. So the total for just those 64 kits was £4,926.72. Okay, but GMK also charges on that invoice for shipping. Now, bear in mind there were other kits as well. So another cost here is shipping. We've only got a quantity of one for that. And the cost for shipping here was 287.24 euros. So let's mark that there, 287.24 euros, 287.24, 287.24 divided by our exchange rate means that shipping cost us £247.79. And that's 1 times 1, so it's just 247. So well, we'll just put the math in, equals sum, open brackets, that multiplied by the 1 cost that. Okay. Let's make those in pounds as well. Okay, makes sense so far? That's insanity. Like, so that's ex VAT. That's excluding VAT. I'm not going to bring VAT into this because the way that VAT works is it's a value added tax. If we pay 20% on the stuff as we're importing it, we charge a customer 20%. We then have to pay the government the uplift between the two. Effectively, we pay the government 20% of the sale price, ultimately just in 2 phases. Once when we get the product and once when we sell there, and then the uplift when we actually sell the product to the customer. So we're going to strip out VAT from this. This is completely ex VAT. Everything is ex VAT. Okay, so we're going to take that completely out of the equation and just show you guys some raw numbers. Okay, so what does this mean at this point? So right now, we've sold 30. So revenue at the moment. So this is what's coming in at the same time as we're doing this. We've got 30 sold at what price? So we know that we've sold 30. In fact, let's move that up one. So what was the sale price? Sale price, revenue, TD to date. So for this particular set, without VAT, we sold it at £88.33. That was the group buy price for this set. The group buy price for that set was £88.33. Open brackets. So we've got 88 times the 30. Okay. So immediately you can see that at the end of the group buy, when we're paying GMK, we have a total amount of money to pay of that. But we've only had that as revenue. Let's make these as pounds, so it's just really super clear. Okay, so that means we've only had that as revenue. So this means that our current balance, put the capitals in, Jay. What are you doing? That minus that, we are currently negative 2.5k on this one small group buy. We are at the end of the group buy. So this is at the end of the group buy. That's the current position. Okay, I'm not going to talk about MOQs. It's all right. I'm not going to cover that. This is just literally what the cost is. Okay, so the end of the group buy, we're negative £2,000. So what do we have to do? Where does that money come from? We have to find that money and front it. Okay, we have to provide that money up front. Yeah, €300 for shipping. That's packing and shipping. Bear in mind that there's all sorts of other kits. We're only talking about the base kits here. We're not talking about all of the other kits as well. This set had quite a few child kits as well. So yeah. You can use the format painter to more easily copy. I don't really use Google Sheets. I just wanted to use it because it's easier than sharing Excel, because I have a lot of stuff in Excel. So that's where we are at the group buy. But we still have another 34 that we can sell, right? So we've still got 34. So in stock base, we've still got another 34 that we can sell. Okay. And for those particular ones, on that for that particular set for in stock, let me just look up the price. Where is it? For that particular set, we had it in stock. This is a set that's long sold out now. We had it at £101.67 in stock. So the difference between format paint, you say? There you go. So we have another further revenue of that to come, but only once we sell every single set. Only once we sell every single set. Now, from those 64 sets, we would usually expect to keep 2 back for quality control purposes. So that drops us down to 32. So we'd have 2 for quality control. So let's make a note of this. So minus 2 sets, quality control. Okay, and let's take QA failure off the list because we don't need to look at that. We've got delivery from manufacturer to vendor on there. We can take that off. I don't think it's worthwhile covering order cancellation, so we're not going to cover that. Marketing, let's assume marketing is Instagram and it's free. There's no cost for it. Let's assume we don't need any new mold costs because it's an existing GMK set, so it should be fine. Color samples, we're not the lead vendor for this, so let's not worry about color samples. And we'll talk about these ones in a second, because we will have these ones to look at. Okay, so we're going to lose 2 sets to quality control, so we've really only got 32 sets, which means we have another £3,200 of revenue. So, what does that mean? So we have a potential further income, assuming these all sell at retail price and not at a sale price, of £3,000, £3,253. So what does that mean that we can... what does that mean that our total potential profit looks like? Well, that's equal sum that plus that. That means for this one set, for 64 base kits that we ordered, we'll make £728.83. This is for a whole GMK group buy, £728.83. So per set, that is a potential profit. And these are real numbers. I guarantee these are real numbers. I'm reading them off invoices and off what we sold. That divided by 64 means we make £11.39 off of this particular set. And that's before we pay the designer, that's before we pay for packaging, and that's before we pay anything else. So that is our golden goose. That's our, let's format the box so we can see it a little bit better. Can we fill that with a color? Let's make that a green color. So that's our potential profit number, right? That's our potential profit number. Now, let's say that we split that profit with the designer 50-50. It can vary between designer from 30% to the designer to 70% for the designer, depending on the project or anything else. So let's assume we split that 50-50. Okay? So designer cost, designer fee is half of that. So let's do equal sum, open brackets, that, well, let's do the full amount. That divided by 2. Yeah, I had to think about that for a second. So that means the designer fee is that, which means our overall profit, our gross profit even, for this whole GMK set, well, it's the same as that, isn't it? It's equals to that. That's what we have. We have £364.42 available from this particular group buy. But wait, there are more costs. So we talked about the designer. Let's assume that it takes someone... How long do you think it takes someone to pack 64 base kits? How long in time do you think it takes someone to pack 64 base kits? How long do you think it takes someone to pack 64 base kits? An hour? 2 hours? 10 hours? What do you think it takes? For 64 orders? About half a day. So let's call that 4 hours. Let's say that the average market rate for a warehouse person, I'm not going to tell you my actual staff rates, is £15 an hour. So you've got costs of £60 for wages. So you've got £60. Again, format painter. What else do we have to come off of it? We've got a website. So Shopify charges 3% of the retail price, approximately, for 3% of income for their share. So let's just round that up and call it Shopify fees. Let's call that 50 quid for this one. About £5,000, 3%, 150 quid. Let's call it £50. Let's err on the real side of caution and call that 50 quid. I mean, that's really low. Oop, wrong one. Format printer. There we go. Website hosting. That's an assumed cost, so I'm not going to count that. Materials have already been covering. Manufacturing has already been covering. Vendor fees we've covered. Boxes and packaging. So boxes and packaging generally cost about £1 per order. That's a rough cost for us, £1 per order. So let's have a look at that. What does that do to the numbers? The daily running cost for the workshop is about 100 quid a day based on rent and gas and everything else. But you can't put that down to a specific group buy. That's an overall cost, so I'm not going to count that. Utilities and taxes we'll talk about in a second. So what does that put our net profit at? So that puts the sum of these together. Well, we've got 64 orders, so it's £64. Let's change that. What are you doing, keyboard? There we go. £174. So our net profit on this particular base kit only is £190.42. That is the profit we make off of shipping 30 base kits in group buy and 32 base kits in stock. Okay, you held 2 back. I did held 2 back. It's going to make £2 difference to it. Yeah. Is the designer fee factored into the cost from GMK? No, the designer fee is different. The designer fee is based on, so the designer fees work in two ways. The designer fee is either a percentage of overall profit split based on an agreement you have that's 30, 40, 50, 60%, whatever that is, in the designer or the vendor's favor. We've just argued 50% here to make it nice and clean. Or alternatively, depending on some sets, the designer will say, I want X amount of dollars per set. So that might be $10 per base kit sold, and then that gets factored into the price slightly differently. That's why we've picked this particular version here. So these are real numbers from a real group buy. I'm not going to tell you which one because it's unfair for me to tell you from the designer. But I did have a number of trial kits which probably skew overall the actual workings of it. But just on the base kit potential, that meant for that one group buy for 64 GMK base kits, we actually made a profit of £190 or 42 pence net after all costs. 5 minutes per set. Yeah, I mean, labeling, packaging, shipping. Mel doesn't do most of our packing. I do most of our packing anyway, but you know, or it's about 50-50. It's not like that, and you can't keep up that pace all day. You can't do 500 orders in a day. So you know, realistically, it's about 100 orders per person per day is what you can manage. So yeah, my estimate was on point. The business ain't it. Group buys feel a lot more risky now, at least for keycaps. Yeah. Is the goal to make X amount on a set, or is the goal to make people go onto your site for more than you offer? The goal is to give people value for money, and the goal is to keep the community happy. I don't do this for, like, I literally pay myself 11 grand a year, 11,692, £962 a year or something. It's £933 a month or something like that, or vaguely something like that, is what I take home each month. Let's work that. I'm pretty sure it's 933 or £932 a month that I take home, times 12 equals, yeah, 11,196. So it's about 930 quid a month I take home. That is my only income. That's all I get paid. So yeah. So that really makes me even more impressed. Oblo does what he does running most of the key sets. Yeah, like the numbers aren't huge. It's not like we're making massive amounts of money here. Well, we class QA as shrinkage, Angry Swan. The other thing that we don't factor into this is if we don't sell, like how long it takes us to sell those 32 sets. If we sell them all out in a day, great. If we sell them all out in a couple of months, fantastic. If it takes us 2 years to sell those 32 in-stock base kits, like we don't even realize the profit until later on. Okay, now what I will say is I have picked a set that does particularly poorly here. Like this was sold at a really low MOQ. The cost was pretty low. This cost was artificially kept low to try and make it sell. So this is just one example. But it's not a million miles away. Even if we made 3 times that. So what's that per set? So equals sum, open brackets, that divided by 64 base kits that we bought. How much are we making? It's really 62 because we put some to one side. We're making about 3 quid a base kit. Even if this is a bad example and we make 3 times that, let's see what the numbers do. Even if we sold 3 times that, we're only making £9 or £10 per base kit. Even if we had, you know, way better sales or whatever else you want to put it, or however, what if we increase the profit margin on a really good set by 3 times that, we're still only making £10 base kit. That's it. Yeah, box cost is 64. And you haven't included insurance, heating, etc. for the shop and warehouse. Yeah. So going, yeah. So like insurance for public liability insurance, employee liability insurance costs us about 18 grand a year. So yeah. We all get cooked in the end. Yeah. I mean, I just want to show these are real numbers from a real group buy. I just wanted to share what that looks like and just how low it is. People think that vendors are making like a lot of money here, and at best, even if we make 3 times the average on some sets, which we do, don't get me wrong, this is a set that's pretty run of the mill and didn't make much money and whatever else, sure, but yeah, we have to pay tax on that 190. Yeah, we have to pay taxes as well. But we're talking about just how much net profit did we make. Even if we had a really good set that made 3 times the amount of profit this particular set made, we're still only making 9 quid a set. there goes the dream of being a vendor. I don't want to stop anyone becoming a vendor, but bear in mind that you are not going to make a ton of money from it. Running a keyboard business is not a get-rich-quick scheme. People think it is. It's not. It really isn't. Sipulate, hey man, good to see you, dude. We need to talk about your PCBs because I want some. I want some. Doing business nowadays is hard, not only from an operational point of view, but also from a humane one as well. Humane for both the people that want to buy and have limited budget, but also for the people that have people to pay fair wages and take home the necessary dollars to cover their expenses too. Yeah. Like, one thing I will say is for PT, I refuse to pay people minimum wage. I don't think that's fair at all. I think that's unfair. I think people should be paid a decent living wage. And I will, if it ever comes to it and PT can't afford to pay the staff, I'll just stop paying myself and I'll pay them instead. So yeah. Yeah, like lower end average compared to other sets. Yeah, like we don't get me wrong, we do some sets. Like Dual Shot is very different to this. I don't have any permissions to release numbers for Dual Shot, but I will say that we did make more profit per base kit on Dual Shot than we did for this. Overall, even though we had to sell a lot at a discount to get it through. Yeah, and as Anarchy says, the exchange rates can massively affect this. Like, there was a time last year where there was a mini budget here in the UK and the US dollar to GBP rate went pretty much 1-to-1 instead of 1.2-to-1. And we had sold a load of Matrix 8XV 3.0s and we sold them when the exchange rate was about 1.2. And then when we got the invoice, it dropped to 1.1. So we lost about 10% of our revenue just because the exchange rate changed. And you have to kind of keep that in mind. You have to keep that in mind. How much does it cost to make a GMK set? The number's there for you, dude. Like, this particular GMK set cost us £76.98 at raw cost. This is all excluding VAT, as it says at the top, and there's no VAT on these numbers. But it cost us £76.98 per set to buy it. And we sold it at £101. Where did I put that number? Oh, sorry. In group buy, we sold it at £88.33, and in stock, we sold it at £101.67. It's all sold out a while back. But yeah. So how does PT make money then, if not GMK sets? I will say that keyboards tend to be more profit driven than the key sets, and so do things like desk mats. And this is just one type of product and one type of group buy. There are other products that we sell that have bigger rates and margins on, and there is an additional thing of volume. If you look at how many sets we have in stock, we have more than most of the vendors just in terms of sheer numbers. So no, it's a numbers game. If you're only making £3 per set and you're only selling 10 sets a week, you're screwed. But if you're selling 1,000 sets a week, it's not so bad. So let's catch up with your questions. Now I've shared some numbers, let's catch up with your questions. Like, are you kind of losing money just on account of having to take my US dollars? No, like, I like customers from the US to buy from us because it means that it's something I don't have to worry about VAT on. So whilst we didn't have VAT in that particular breakdown, if you buy something in stock from us, I don't charge you VAT, but I can claim the VAT back on what I would have paid on that set later on. So it's a slight win for me, is that it might be less revenue, but it's actually more of a profit margin for PT if we sell to the US. What about the sets that were priced at 250 MOQ but sold in the thousands? I feel like there's some real money in those cases. Yeah, I don't have permission to talk about some of those sets whilst I have my own numbers. Like, this is a collective of vendors for different things, and I don't want to step on anyone's toes and release some information that I don't have permission to release or that I haven't checked with someone to release and things like that. So this is just numbers that I know I can tell you based on something that PT has done. The group buy model has been a point of contention for many in the hobby. Do you think we can move that past that model? I think that for two key reasons, group buys have a place in this hobby and will do for a long time. Reason number one, they act as an interest check for the community to tell vendors what is worthwhile. As you can see, the numbers aren't great. Like, if I tried to take this business plan to a bank and say, give me money so I can invest in this product, they go, our interest rates are going to be more than what you're going to make, so no. But if we increase the prices, we wouldn't sell them because it'd be too expensive. So for that reason alone, selling in group buy does allow us to get an interest check and a barometer gauge of what the community wants at a better opportunity, a better price for the consumer at the end. So that's one reason. The other reason is sustainability. Like, we might have ordered 64 base kits here. There's a reason why we ordered 64. This set ran quite a while ago, and the numbers have fluctuated a little bit, but broadly the theory is the same. And at the time, GMK sent a box of base kits was 64 base kits in a box. Well, it wasn't actually. It was 32 base kits in a box, but two boxes of 32 was 64 boxes. So we bought 2 full boxes from GMK to get the number of base kits. So that's why we tended to order in that. We didn't want to order just 30 extras or 32 extras. We felt that it was 32 extras. So we just rounded it up to, we wanted to like do double what we'd sold at Group Buy. So we kind of made that up to fit a full box, because there's no point in shipping a part empty box because you pay it on a volumetric weight on shipping, so you might as well fill the box, right? So that's the one reason. The other reason is sustainability. Like if I took a punt and guessed how many of these should we do, I might have bought 250 of this to try and get a lower price with GMK, and then I might have been sat on it for a long time. But we've only produced the amount that the market demands. So that's more sustainable from a product manufacturing perspective, from a usage perspective, from putting plastic out there, from harming the environment and everything else. So there's that side to it as well. At what point do you have to value warehouse space against products sitting around? Every single time I pay rent. Every time I pay my rent bill, which is about $5,000 a month, I have to do that. How much does it GMK wouldn't divulge. I don't know what GMK's cost is to produce. I don't know what their margin is, but that was the cost for this particular set. Buying things at discounted prices is kind of unfair to PT. Yeah, but like I said before, cash flow is king. Sometimes selling things at cost or slightly less to generate cash flow is king, right? So yeah, keyboard group buys tend to have better returns. Yeah, I think ginghams were one of the projects that I shouldn't have invested in. I bought a load of those for in stock. I think we paid something like 65-70 quid per gingham, and we only ever sold about 15 of them. We didn't sell the rest, and I've ended up giving them away mostly, and now they're like 20 quid. So yeah, so get a rich quick scheme if you don't pay manufacturers. Yeah, maybe. You get rich by bailing on your commitments, like certain now defunct vendors with mysterious disappearing money. I mean, this is where you can see like how things can go south quite quickly. If you make the wrong decision on 4 or 5 keycap sets and you are using the profits that you've made off of something else to invest in this, you can see how it can go down south quite quickly. So just need to bear that in mind. Or not ship to clients and vroom on your new McLaren. Did you see that particular vendor's selling his house Stipula? That his house is up for sale right now for 3 times what he paid for it 4 years ago, by the way. Yeah. The story all names, characters, incidents portrayed in the production are fictitious, no identification. I love that. Yeah. Do you know what profit margin GMK is looking at here? I don't. Like, and this is just GMK. Other keycap sets tend to have better opportunities for vendors, because without us, you don't have the product, right? Without vendors, you don't have the product. So my armchair guesstimates have been closer than expected. You thought the numbers would be this low? Yeah, interesting. I'd have thought you should be aiming for 30% margin. Like if we did 30% margin on this, like, you know, I haven't got the percentages on this calculation here, but it's like if we sell it for £101 and we're making £2.98, you know, we're basically making 3 or 4%, right? So we'd have to add 10 times that to make 30%. So we'd have to add another 30 quid to the set. So instead of being £101, it'd be £131. Like, people just wouldn't buy it. It just wouldn't sell. Does stocking lots of GMK impact your keyboard sales positively? I don't know. I've never looked at that. Like, our sales are so consistent that I don't really look into the rationale as to why or what's causing it. But yeah, I think if you looked at the overall range of products we sell, Zed, I think 10% is probably about right. I think whilst this particular example we're making about 3%, or 3 to 9% depending on how you look at it, I think if we averaged all of the products we sell, 10% is about right. So for every £10,000 we have in sales, about £1,000 is gross profit, and then of course we've got rent and staff and heating and electricity to pay for as well. Overall, I think realistically the actual net profit of the business as general is probably about 5%. 5%. Yeah, GMK will have their own margins. I don't know what they are. Do you have any thoughts on the cancelled DCS Superwell group buy? I know that group buy got cancelled because Oko reached out to SP and claimed ownership of the retro colorway. I don't know any details about that really, other than what's been made public. I know that a lot of manufacturers are keen to protect designers. I'm going to call it intellectual property. Technically, from a legal perspective, it's not. You can't own a colorway in that kind of sense. You can own a trademarked color, but you can't own a colorway. So my general view on that is that I understand why the manufacturers try to protect the designers. I think that certain things should be open source. Things like Honeywell aren't, because anyone could do it. White on black, black on white. You Dolch, those colorways can't be owned because they were around prior to anybody else using them. But I can see why they do it, and I can understand it's disappointing, but I can see why that decision was made. When you talk about buying more or less to get a better price, is that with a primary vendor on the set or with GMK directly? So with GMK group buys, as I showed at the top of the stream, GMK usually invoices each vendor separately, but all of the vendors conglomerate their order to try and obtain set pricing. Now we have a target for that before the group buy starts. Sometimes we hit that, sometimes we don't. If we don't, that's when the order gets cancelled. If we do hit it, great, then we've sold it and we know roughly what the numbers are going to be. If we sell extreme levels of that, then that's great, because that can offset other projects that maybe don't make as much profit later on. So yeah. This is so interesting to hear about the margins you work with. Yeah, like, it's not huge amounts of money. I know people seem to think that like because I collect cars and stuff like that, I'm making tons of bank and stuff like that, but I don't. I pay myself 933 quid a month. In fact, I got my P60 in the other day. Let me have a look at my P60. I don't think I can share it on stream because it'll have my address on it and stuff. But let me have a look at my P60. That's someone else's. Okay. So on my P60 for the financial year from April 23 to April 24, I earned £11,907. So yeah, let me see if I can actually. I'm gonna see if I can share this without actually breaking anything. I can't. Oh, unfortunately, I can't. Like, it'll take too long to just like configure a window to show you. But yeah, that was like the literal amount of my income for a whole year, 12 months, £11,970 and 96 pence. Yeah. Anyone who's interested in that, my tax code is 1256L. So yeah, and that's what I earn. Unfortunately, it's just difficult for me to share that. In fact, actually, maybe I could take a screenshot of that. Hold on. I can share it. I think. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm just gonna edit out one thing. Yeah. Which is my national insurance number. Right. Let Command and save. Desktop. Save.
Incredible.
But actually, if I print that as a PDF, I can open it in browser window. Print PDF. Do. Okay, I think I'm just going to test this. Like, I'm not editing anything, please. There you go. Cool. Right, okay. So if I flick back on to here, this is my P60. So you can see it's got my full name in there. My actual name is Jonathan. J comes from my initials, Jonathan Anthony Edward. Surname Flynn. Director. That is my pay, £11,907.96, and then there's a bit of a breakdown here. Earnings above the level and earnings up to the level in terms of tax and stuff like that. So yeah, that's all I earned last year for a whole year. If I'd have taken any dividends out of the business, they'd be on here. You'd see those. That's it. That's literally all I got paid from the company. So there you go. That's it. Right. Cool. Okay. I'm going to get rid of everything now. I'm not going to save the spreadsheet. I don't want to be sharing too much.
Incredible.
So yeah, that's how it works. Right, let's catch up with chat and see what you guys have been talking about. I take a vacation only to go to court dates and see how it goes down. Nice. Yeah. Well, yeah, I know you would. We're gonna have a Noxury Rama movie like Catch Me If You Can. Maybe one day. I could do a write-up on some of that stuff, like if anyone would be interested. Do you think there's room for a consignment model between vendors so that different markets saturate to a natural demand? That exists sometimes. Like if we see more sales than another vendor for a set, we might buy extras from them just to kind of like replenish our stocks. We did that with GMK Minimal, for example. So it does happen in some places. Appreciate the transparency, top notch. I don't mind sharing this stuff. Like I can't share every set, but I can share some sets for you. Was there any GMK set you wanted to be a vendor for but didn't get the chance to? Yeah, I'd say British Racing Green I'd have loved to have done the vendorship for. I think we could have made a real good go of that. And probably made it quite popular here in the UK. Most of the stuff we get offered, we say no to. About 65% of sets and boards that people come to us with, we say no to because I'm just not sure the project has the legs. And we only say yes to about 33 to 35%. I don't have an exact number, but that's a gut feel. And usually we see that one of the other vendors has picked up things that we've passed on. So yeah, but it's rare that something goes to another vendor and I think, oh damn, we should have had that. So yeah. Praying I receive my Zoom 65 this week. If it's from us, we'll get it out soon. It might not be this week, but it'll be as soon as we can. My trouble with Superwell is Oko is not the designer for Hyperfuse, just the original designer is no longer on the hobby. I don't see Oko as a de facto owner of the IP. I'm not going to get into that one, that's a bit unfair, but they were just trying to protect the designer, whether they're around or not. Just because someone's not around doesn't mean to say their stuff should be used, and I can kind of see it from a certain perspective, but I can understand the frustration from the community as well. Do vendors have any power with manufacturers, or do they just have to accept their fate? Yeah, we pick which manufacturers we work with. It's as simple as that. If we don't like the price, we don't work with them, and yeah. You'll pay an invoice to GMK directly. Wild, didn't expect that model. Yeah, GMK invoices. Like I get hundreds of invoices from GMK every year. Yeah. I'd add that group buys make designing much more accessible to people who can't front cash for something and don't have relationships with vendors to get something done in stock. True. Yeah. You make millions in profit, right? We do millions in revenue. Yeah, but profit? No. And pretty much every penny we do make in profit is recycled back into prototyping, because of course we've not talked about anything like that. I mean, like I've just given you a small snippet to just give you an idea of what it's like realistically, but of course we invest our profits back into extras, we invest them into prototyping, we invest them into marketing materials, we invest it into the community, like helping pay for stuff for the MK UK meetup. We do all sorts of stuff like that as well. So yeah, it's not just as simple as that. But yeah, there will be some KV2 extras. Yeah. I don't get why everyone is so interested in his financials. Of course, he makes bank. He might not take profit, but he owns his business. Yeah, I own the business. Yeah, 100% I own the business, but I don't take the money out of it. If I sold the business, sure, it'd be me that got paid. But who wants to buy Prototypist keyboards? Send your offers to prototypist.net. A screenshot and crop the P60. I think that's what I did in the end. Yeah. The warehouse isn't real, so that's another $5 grand. Nothing fucking dude. Like. Can you see the window here? This window leads to the warehouse. Like, it's down there. It is down there. How do I support myself in that amount? I was very lucky in my previous career to make a lot of money. Like, I worked hard. I worked for a long time. I did the job for 16 years. I was a senior program manager. I got a golden handshake when I left that job, and most of my living costs come out of my savings. That's generally how I live. My wife also works, and she's quite well paid for what she does. So yeah, so I don't have any other source of income personally. I do this full time. I do have some other business interests that don't make money as yet, but will hopefully at some point. And of course, I make a small amount from streaming, which is why we have a sub goal. But yeah, most of my income is theoretically living off savings, and it will be until PT doesn't exist. Yeah. Does UPS pick up daily from you guys or on demand? Yeah, UPS picks up daily from us, usually between 2:30 and 4 o'clock every day. They don't pick up on Thursdays and they don't pick up on weekends. Thursdays, because we're closed on Thursdays, I'm very progressive. I think working a 4-day week is the future. So I make sure that all of our staff work no more than 4 days a week. Josh, who's our designer, he works on an ad hoc basis as he's needed. That can be greater or lesser amounts each week depending on what he's doing, but never more than 4 full days. Sharon is our closest full-time employee. She works 4 days a week, and that's it. Mel works 3 days a week in the packing room. I work 7 days a week, and pick up all the slack from the other thing. So yeah, so there we go. But UPS pick up us from us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, usually between 2:30 and 4 o'clock. So yeah. Generally needs air and stream to live. Sure, let's go with that. So I hope you have a good day job to support yourself. You're an awesome person. I do this full time. I'm in this workshop 120 hours a week, something like that. I have like a geofence, and I if this then that IFTT track myself when I come in and leave the workshop, and I think on average last year I spent about 120 hours a week here. Some weeks it's less, some weeks it's a little bit more, but yeah, about 120 hours a week. Can you do a breakdown of bulk keyboards for you guys? Like, what's the production cost? How many orders do you need to break profit, etc.? Probably at some point. I can't today, but maybe we'll try and do that on a stream later on. Yeah. If someone was designing a keyboard and came to you, at what point would you expect them to come to you or prefer them to come to you, pre-IC or post-IC? It depends. Like, I prefer them to have a fully fleshed out idea. I don't want them to come with like a pencil drawing and say, I want to do this. Like, they need to come with something substantial that's almost ready for prototyping. I don't care if it's had an IC or not. Like, we can do the IC later on. But I need to see that the product is something that's had iteration, that's had time spent on it. If they've got something and they show me that they stream their Fusion 360 and it shows that they've got like 10 edits and that's it, like, it's not a fully thought out idea. It's not something they've worked on and gone forward and changed stuff, come back and reworked something, you know. So yeah, it really depends. Can you do a breakdown for the JO1 or any similar board like you did for the GMK set? Yeah, at some point we can probably do something like the JO2, which we've got in stock right now. Not today because I don't have the time, but yeah, we can probably have a look at that. You're the kind of person that genuinely deserves success. Hats off to you. Thank you, I appreciate that. Coffee shop gonna make the monies. Maybe. I have plans for the coffee stuff, yeah. 4 days a week is the best thing you can do, but only if it's 8 hours max a day. Yeah, so like the team only works 7 hours a day. They get an hour. They're here for 8 hours. They get an hour for lunch. Most of the time, if the team's here, we go out for lunch and I take them out, and we'll do stuff with them and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't want anyone working stupid hours to make ends meet and stuff like that. It's just not fair. Aren't you paying yourself less than minimum wage? Significantly less, yeah. But as a director, I don't have to earn minimum wage. Rue says, I'm under the impression that US vendors have bigger margins and or generate more profits. Do you know if they are doing something differently besides having a larger market? Not a fan of how things are done in the US in the general, by the way. So I think that the difference is that in a real world, like if we were looking at other businesses, if you took Apple, for example, Apple have a very different pricing model for the UK than they do for the US. Even if you take VAT off, like the prices here in the UK are significantly more, and that's partly because there is a cost of business doing business in the EU and UK, where you have to have where the consumer has certain protections that have a cost that you have to be able to cover, replacement parts and things like that. It's very different to US law. The cost of staff is also very different because in the US you can rely on tipping for certain industries. You can't rely on that here in the UK. Not so much for things like keyboards perhaps, but yeah. And the tax position in the US is also very different from here in the UK. Accountability, insurances are very different as well. So we have to have customer liability insurance, employee liability insurance, and the US equivalents aren't quite the same as what we have here. So it's significantly cheaper to do business. Rent is also massively cheaper in the US for a warehouse than it is here in the UK. Here in the UK, you pay about £21 to £25 per square foot of space. In the US, it's probably a quarter of that. because they have more space. So there are significant benefits to having a business in the US rather than having it in the UK in terms of making profit. And profit isn't a dirty word. Every business needs to make profit. If there's no profit, there's no business, and that's why you have situations like MNC. So yeah. There's a lot I'd love to talk to you about, Rue, on this from a true economics point of view. I do keep things really basic on stream because I know that not everyone has an economics background, but I like go into some real depth on some of these points. I just like to touch them and stuff. But yeah. Monthly sub coffee and loo package. Sign me for that. Yeah, so the coffee company is called Jay's Roastery. It's just about ready to launch. It's a registered entity here in the UK. We've been testing the coffee for about 6 months. We sold some as Typist Brew last year. I gave some away to some very close friends who within the Twitch subscribers. You can join here. In January, they all really enjoyed it. It's in some coffee shops already in the local areas, like a house coffee, and the website for Jay's Roastery will launch imminently in the next week or two, and we'll be doing coffee subscriptions where you'll be able to buy whole beans, and we'll ship them worldwide or whatever else you need and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm really proud of it. We've got 3 coffees. We've got the fiction blend, the sci-fi blend, and the classics blend, and they've all got their own tasting notes and everything else. We've got recipes on the site that'll teach you how to brew them and everything. So if you're into coffee, I'm hoping that people will really like it. I have examples like my Google Keep Cycle base model iPad Pro 11-inch space grey, 128 gigabytes, UK retail £899. The same in New Hampshire, £634. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. So yeah. Have you ever needed those insurances? No, touch wood. Apart from when we had touching some wood. Apart from when we had the flood, I did look at the insurance. The losses weren't great enough to kick in the insurance clauses. Luckily, everything's elevated, so very little got damaged with that. But the insurance is a requirement. It's not a if you don't need it, don't buy it. It's a legal requirement. We can't have employees on site unless we have employee liability insurance. That is a legal requirement. So yeah, we've got to pay for it. We have to pay for it. Have you ever considered purchasing your own warehouse? I have looked at it. I've looked, me and my wife want to move house, and one of the things we've looked at is when we move house, buying a property that has a barn or a warehouse in the garden, and then I can kind of lease it to the company myself. That's not something that's going to happen anytime soon, but it's potentially an opportunity for the future. Pension funds in the US, yeah, all of our staff have full pensions. They get contributions if they can put up to 10% of their salary into them, and we match that, so that's an extra cost as well. So yeah, I'm not going to tell you what people earn, but the fully loaded cost for each employee at PT is about 65 quid an hour. That's including insurances, salaries, pension contributions, food and drink and everything else, heating, lighting. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Here in Italy, the cash I dump for the national pension. I can't just choose my plan on my own. It's basically throwing money at a Ponzi scheme. Yeah, so it's not quite as bad here in the UK, but it's an issue. Did Brexit significantly narrow your business? No, I think so. PT was really kicking off as Brexit happened, and we ship a lot to the EU anyway. So if you're in the EU and you buy from us, all your taxes are prepaid at checkout. Shipping's a little bit more expensive than it would be from an EU vendor, but overall the cost is broadly the same. You don't get import fees or anything like that. It's just we handle it all for you. So it's no different really. So I think a lot of EU customers have noticed that and just buy from us anyway. And if you spend over 150 quid as an EU customer, you get free shipping anyway. So yeah. Are your beans going to be for filter or for espresso? So they're going to be whole beans to start off with. We might introduce a grinding service later on, but the beans will be whole beans, and then you can grind them yourself, but they will work fine as a filter coffee or as an espresso. They are designed for espresso, but they work really, really good in an AeroPress and other things like that. So we've tried them with a Chemex and stuff like that. The blends that we've chosen have been specifically engineered to be good for pretty much every brewing method. So yeah. Yeah, so there we go. Do wonder if a keyboard vendor based in Northern Ireland would be at an advantage. I've looked at it before. We did look at opening a warehouse in Northern Ireland to try and help with the import stuff, and broadly, like the savings were like maybe 1% annually, and the cost of having staff over there would kind of supersede it. So I don't think there would be much benefit to it when we looked into it. And my father-in-law was in freight forwarding for like 25 years and had his own business and everything. So we kind of looked at it from every angle. It just wasn't really worthwhile. Can you openly disclose how much money is invested currently in PT? Only my personal savings are invested. No one else has invested any money in PT. There are no investors apart from me and myself and I. PT is completely owned by me. So that's it. As an EU customer, I definitely appreciate the iOSS payment. Yeah. So it depends on the country. It's not all iOSS. Some of it is DDP, but it really depends on where we're shipping to. Germany's just changed a load of rules, which might change things in the future for us. But yeah, we handle it all at the minute. Thanks, Sagiri. I'm glad you'd be trusting us to order from us. I just joined a group buy where you were cheaper than the EU vendor. Implementing iOSS and the change to UPS was ace. Yeah. So we changed to UPS because DHL's prices went so astronomically high that don't get me wrong, their service is better than UPS. Like it is better, but the cost of return on investment for the better service wasn't worth it, and it was worth to have a slightly less good service for significantly increased opportunity for sales. And obviously, as I talked about before, cash flow is king, and the more sales the better, and therefore it was beneficial to move to UPS. And of course that's been great for the EU folks. Like it's like 16-17 quid now to ship to the EU. It's next to nothing. What's my favorite TKL? My favorite personal TKL is probably this one. This is a TGR Koala, which has the PT logo emblazoned. This was a custom one made by TGR for us and MaxF. Hot pink base, teal top, GMK Analog Dreams, UK ISO layout, and a nice big slab of copper on the base. But I have a lot of keyboards, so that's just one of them. One of my other favourite ones here is the... I keep this one on my desk because it has a matching numpad, and I do a lot of spreadsheet work, as you can imagine. So this is a Matrix AXV 2.0 ad, Christmas edition, Mr. Hat edition, which is a pretty cool board. MT new on this one. So yeah. And with the matching numpad as well, because I need a numpad pretty much all the time. They have, and we don't want you as a business price. Yeah, I mean, so the interesting thing is that DHL have come back to us with revised pricing, and they've offered to take us out for events and stuff like that, and send me to like the box for football matches and stuff like that. And it's just not worth it. Like I get that they're trying to do nice things and trying to convince me to go back to them, but it's just not worth it from a financial perspective. Yeah, I love MTNU. I think it's great. Yeah. How much does it weigh? It's about 3 kilos, just on 2.8, 2.9 kilos, I think, if I remember rightly. It's pretty chunky. So yeah, copper. Yeah. DHL charges so much. In some places, they are not even the best. What's the point of paying them if you have overworked drivers and don't proper service in some places? Yeah, like this is why we went to UPS, because the prices for like just standard domestic door-to-door shipping from us to a customer here in the UK is about £6 something with UPS on average. If you're close to the depot, it's a little bit cheaper, but it's about £6 I think that we charge customers, something like that. DHL used to be about £8, and then it went up at the start of the autumn last year, so October, November time, and it was nearly £12, and we kind of had to reduce what we were charging customers for it and offer like a we were subsidizing some of the shipping costs to just keep it down, and that's why we moved to UPS, because it was just silly to keep it. What was the numpad? It's a Matrix ATEX V 2.0 ad numpad. It's the matching one for the keyboard. If DHL offered you a certain special chip to Maranello, though, would that change your mind? No. So one of the things that has happened, like this isn't like monetary income, but other than monetary income, I've had opportunities through running this company that I wouldn't have had otherwise. Last year, a good friend of mine works for McLaren, and I'm a huge Formula One fan. And because of him knowing me through this business, he invited me to go down to McLaren, and I got to see the whole place. I got to see all of the trophies and the cars, and walk around the campus and see some of the other McLaren cars, and see the whole McLaren place, including like Pedro de la Rosa's car up on the wall and all of this kind of stuff. And I've got tons of pictures, and I sat down and up against one of Senna's cars and all of this, and it was a fantastic experience. And I am so lucky that I managed to have that happen to me because of keyboards. Like, it's phenomenal. And there's been other examples as well, but I wouldn't trade cutting off my customer's nose to spite their faces to get a trip to Maranello. I wouldn't do that. That's not fair. That's not me. That's not who I am. I wouldn't. The trip to Maranello wouldn't change my outcome from a business perspective. Like, sure, it's nice, but it wouldn't change any outcome. DHL has vastly better service than anyone else. I understand the shift to UPS though. I get it. Some people have been disappointed with the change to UPS, but at least we're not using Every or DPD, right? So there you go. McLaren have trophies. Yeah. Like when I went, actually, it was just after Silverstone last year, and Lando Norris had come second in the Silverstone Grand Prix, and I think that was like, well, that was on the Sunday, and I was like there on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, and the trophy was already framed and by the glass window overlooking the lake, and it's phenomenal. Do you allow customers to pick up if they live near prototypes? I'm curious. Yeah, you can just select customer collection and checkout, and you can pick it up. About 3%, 4% of orders do that. It's not huge amounts. Friend says there's a seat sittings at McLaren amongst other things. He's hyped to go over and see them. Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I love Formula One. It's amazing. Which keycaps cost $2,000? If you review the stream, Metal Man, you'll see them. It's a set from Keymax, one of one custom set, the only Keymax MX set to exist right now. You'll have to go back through the stream to see them. So yeah. Okay, so we didn't hit the 200 subs for the stream today, so no marbles, but we will play marbles on stream on Thursday. We're going to do a stream on Thursday around lunchtime, 12 till 2 p.m. UK time, I think. We'll probably be doing some customer builds on that day. I think I've got some customer builds to do this week, so we'll probably be doing those on Thursday, and maybe showing some other bits behind the scenes. Other than that, it is time for me to go home and go to bed, because I'm really tired and I've got to be up for work in the morning. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you found today's stream really useful. Thank you so much for helping us hit the sub goal. I really, really appreciate that. Please do check out the website. Do make an order if you're interested in supporting us. We appreciate every single order, and if you order tonight, it'll ship out tomorrow. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I thoroughly appreciate every single last one of you. Take care, and I will see you all on Thursday, or I'll see you on Instagram, or I'll see you on Discord, wherever you want to interact with me, because I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, guys. Good night. Cool. Okay, I'm going to get rid of everything now. I'm not going to save the spreadsheet. I don't want to be sharing.